Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another exciting race here in our continuing coverage of the 2021 Cross World Key Sanity. Today we have ZelgaDissan versus Khloe Prower, and we have some pretty awesome comms in the booth. We have Dane8373 as well as the wonderful Excalibur. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to them, and I will start this race. Have a good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dane. It's a lovely night here in England. Just quiet, a late night rando. Your mileage may vary on time zones.
Yeah, it's a nice evening rando after work over here in stateside. I'm excited to see this nice match here. Excalibur, we want to give a quick rundown about Crosskeys to people who may know about like Link to the Past but not be familiar with this particular mode.
So, in regular, boring item rando, all of the insides of things are still in the places you would expect. Nobody bothered to randomize them. And that's no fun. And so instead, you take all of the insides and you also shuffle which door they connect to on the outside. Because this is cross-world, the caves that connect multiple locations can have their exits in either the light world or the dark world completely at random. There are some logical constraints to make sure that you can actually get to everywhere on the map, but for the most part, anything can be anywhere except Link's house, which is always at Link's house. And then key sanity just means that the keys are shuffled anywhere in the game, as well outside their dungeons, anywhere in the overworld, etc. It turns out that if you play non-key sanity cross-world, it's a bit weird, and so you almost always play cross keys, just because it sort of makes the puzzle the right depth.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how you think that sometimes you feel like making things more complicated like that makes it harder or less enjoyable, but these two, Cross-World and Key Sanity, they just make a really great pair and kind of cover up each other's weaknesses a little bit.
Yeah, so one of the differences between regular rando or item rando and entrance rando is that it tends to be a lot flatter in terms of there's more things you can do at any given time. So both runners, starting at Link's house, ZelgaDissan doing sort of the traditional cross keys start, going straight to the witch's house, and then doing hula hand at the so-called useless fairy drop-down. Whereas Khloe this is apparently the new hotness, which is starting at Link's house and walking immediately to Kakariko by the south route. I'd never seen anybody do this before, like last week, and now this is like the third or fourth time this tournament. So, I don't get it.
Yeah, I get. You get the nice 50-50 bombs here, which can be nice for some drop-downs, because sometimes you'll find a bomb-required drop-down over that useless fairy. But there's obviously the benefit of getting some extra money from this Hula Hand route, so you can buy bombs if you encounter a shop early in your race.
Yeah, it's... There's at least 4 different openings that people use. I would say the Hula Hand start is probably the most popular, and for a while it was quite popular just to start at Sanctuary and figure it out from there. And this newfangled start at and go directly to Kakariko is the new hotness, apparently.
And we see Paradox Cave over here in the library for Khloe, which is nice. You want to go there and get the items, but if you only have the one bomb, you're kind of risking it because you need at least one to do the bomb jump. So if you went in there right now, you'd be committed to taking that bottom entrance and getting locked out. So Khloe electing to not do that right now, come back for those items later.
You also need another one to hit the crystal switch. You really need 2 bombs, which is kind of annoying. Alright, so ZelgaDissan has completed his Hula Hand, and is now going to check these sort of very convenient entrances next to Link's house. Finds a bomb shop, which is one of the reasons you want to do the Hula Hand start, so you can turn any bomb shop into a bunch of bombs to solve your early game problems.
Yeah, that early 10 bombs is really helpful because a lot of times you'll run into a bunch of entrances that require bombs in a row, or maybe you just have a kill room that you need to kill enemies and you don't have a weapon. So those bombs can be very helpful. Very nice to find that shop early there for Zelda.
And then ZelgaDissan has killed a few enemies with bushes and signs and things in order to set up, I think, a tier 3 tree pull, which is 8 bomb. It would be great if he hadn't already found a bomb shop. So ZelgaDissan chooses not to peek on the thief. In this, at the Uncle drop down, I'm a little bit surprised by that.
Yeah, because normally when you see the thief, it just takes so long to peek, you might as well jump down and get it. But yeah, I agree with the Uncle drop down. That takes a while to get to.
Finds a dark cave. This is the end of the route, or kind of the end of the route. So Zelga is choosing to continue through this dark cave. I don't have his audio on, so I couldn't tell which cave it was.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. And there's the eastern. Okay, so that was the old man front.
Yeah, so that's the cave people are most likely to follow this early in the game. You get the item, the save and quit, access to guaranteed access to Death Mountain, etc. And sorry. And it's easy to find. Like, it's easy to tell that that's the cave that you're in. That's actually why Zelga dropped the one bomb, was to see if he hit the resistance of the jumping off the ledge. And if you screw up the second half of it, you die and you save and quit to that spot. Finding a few connectors up here on the mountain, which is maybe problematic for later. Khloe is making the semi-controversial choice to immediately dip Eastern Palace. I guess this early, they feel it's, you can do it. You can do this whole place with just bombs. Maybe there'll be, a weapon or something in here.
Yeah, it's definitely. I agree. That's a kind of a. Some people will do this, and some people will not, and it kind of depends about where you're feeling with regards to how valuable the items here. And I guess Khloe deciding that early game like this, the items are worth it.
Yeah. I think once you have either the bow or the big key in hand, it's tempting to put it off. So ZelgaDissan is checking the hookshot connector. It goes to the village of outcasts. We'll come back here later, it looks like. Hookshot Cave, of course, one of the a super great place to find, because it's got a bunch of items in it, and it's also a relatively easy connector.
Yeah, I would definitely want to come back for those items when you have the hookshot or even the boost for just the one. Also finding C-shaped house here, just getting a piece of parts. So I haven't really found any items to help us yet on this trip, but we found some nice entrances so far.
Yeah, well, what we haven't found is a more convenient way up here yet. You don't really want to do the old man escape room in the dark multiple times and avoid it, but...
Yeah, we've got the connector from Village of Outcast up here, but we don't have access to Village of Outcast, and we have the Bumper Cave connector, and now we have this one, so we'll see where this one might take us somewhere convenient.
Yeah, and of course, if the other end of this is somewhere convenient, getting back up here will be easy. This cave is about 4 times longer this way than it is the other way. Graveyard Lich, which is completely useless right now, but we can at least come back. Khloe's following I believe that was the Elder House connector to the Mire area, which is probably means we don't need to flute this game.
Yeah, the flute really is kind of sometimes only just for convenience to get around in Crosskeys, because you can get to the Mire area like Khloe just did here.
So in addition to all the other connectors that that Zelga found. This is the worst one. At least got filled back up on hearts to get through here, but 300 green mail, no weapons. Feral Cave was nobody's idea of a good time.
Yeah, able to get through it, though, very nicely. And you won't have to worry about this item. And it was actually pretty nice that all those connectors that he found up there were ones that he could go backwards through. So got to check those all out and finding his way up to the top of Hyrule Castle now.
Yes, and this will be the end of Zelga's route. And unfortunately, Zelga's already checked the lower entrances in the castle, so you can't hop off. And worse yet... oh, we're gonna go hop off the side? Ooh,
yeah,
really team maneuver. Can't remember the last time I've seen someone actually do this.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, like, we remember he didn't even check what the thief item was. He went right into that dark cave, and this is his first time back here since then.
So, should have walked up there and checked what that was, mate. Now, I will often argue against peeking in the Thief Cave, because it actually is a fairly long walk, but it's not as long a walk as all the way around the castle. Alright, so let's see where the Sanctuary is. This is astonishingly our first Sanct check. At the Lumberjack House, which means we have potential key shenanigans with the castle tower.
Yep, definitely going to want to be careful before you start using those keys and escape, because you really don't want to lock yourself into having to beat Aghanim to get to the back of the escape, or having to find the Hyrule Castle Small. Neither of those are desirable.
You wind like having to think about which items, like if you want to scum the key out of the front, and like it presents a moral quandary, which is not what the runners are particularly interested in. On the other hand, they're also not particularly interested in beating Aga 1. So,
yeah, I've seen one of those Castle Tower small keys. Khloe picked that up.
Ooh, Khloe, not enough bombs, by which I mean none bombs, to beat Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, so there's some really good items down in Kakariko with Mini Moldorm Cave and Paradox Cave. Khloe just unfortunately hasn't found any way to accumulate bombs or another weapon to finish those.
And zelgadissan hopping down the... there's Aga Tower. The drop down in the Lost Woods, only to find that it was the useless fairy, and feels bad.
Yeah, so we're looking for... I didn't get to see when... Khloe checked Magic Bat and what that was, but we're down to, I believe it's the Kakariko Well and Magic Bat and Lumberjack are our drop downs that are left.
Was Ganon a useless fairy? I was...
Yes.
Which is why zelgadissan is willing to just YOLO into the drop downs at this point. It's often faster to do that than it is to actually check once you know you're not going to meet an invincible large pig.
Yeah, because really the only ones that you don't want to YOLO into are Useless Fairy and Magic Bat once you found Ganon. Because if Ganon's out there, like you said, you're never going to just jump right in there. But you save a lot of time on the Thief drop down, a little bit of time on Lumberjack. And sometimes it's nice because there's something like 100 rupees where you wouldn't go back if you saw that. But if you jump down, you'll take it.
Yeah. And even Magic Bat, like I think walking from this all the way around to the stump and then back around, like it's much of a muchness. Khloe Prower making the walk of annoyance into Sanctuary. One reason to save and quit here early, avoid having to do that.
And that's not really a particularly convenient Sanctuary location. We'll have to see where the old man save and quit location is once Zelda decides to check that. But the Sanctuary is not going to be a particularly useful one for us.
So Zelda, with his Houlihan money, has the money to pay off the bottle vendor. Also gets super lucky on the chess game. Gets 100 rupees out of that. Which I'm sure Khloe would have been happy with to go pay the bottle vendor. I believe that's actual RNG still, right?
Yeah, the first chest there is RNG.
They de-randomized a lot of the rando, kind of ironically, I guess. But not that part.
I believe that was Magic Bat there over in the Sanctuary on Khloe's side we just saw.
Yep. Now Khloe gets the news about Ganon. It's actually a totally fine place for Ganon to be.
Yeah. But we are almost at we have a 50-50 if Cackwell's going to be at Blacksmith Magic Bat drop or if it's going to be at Ganon. And you never really like to see that Kakariko drop down locked behind Ganon's tower.
So Khloe certainly checked Magic Bat. I just don't remember.
Yeah. We don't know. I didn't see it. The stream was cutting out of it on the commentator side at that point.
All right, so now having done the longest pack sweep I've ever seen, 14 minutes in, Khloe finally saves and quits and is off to go right. And despite getting 4 50-50 bushes really early, had to leave behind a bunch of bomb stuff in CAC, which is a weakness of that opening, or a weakness of Khloe's patience to not farm more than one bomb off the 50-50. There's the well at that. So
yep, so that means you can have Lumberjack drop down again, and so just one extra item is your reward for beating Aghanim 2 today.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what you were mentioning, I think this particular layout of entrances was a little bit punishing for Khloe's setup, because finding Paradox and Mini Moldorm, it's really nice to get that extra, 12 items in the early game, but not going to be able to get those just because of lack of bombs.
Yep. It's miserable. Walking out of Paradox Cave, not having gotten the items, is just awful. From a psychological point of view. We find Super Bunny Cave at Saha. But we're going to go check these other entrances first, because that's a one-way connector. Let's see what else is here, and then come back and get those 2 items.
It's a very tempting to always try to get that one way to get the 2 extra items there, but Khloe's going to take a little bit of patience, check these other entrances, because they're not going to get any closer Eastern unless you get the mirror from Pod, Eastern, and the Fleet spot. So may as well check those quick before you dive into that Super Bunny.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not that quick. And Khloe deciding that running away is the better part of not dying, and goes off the side of the Eastern platform there. All right. ZelgaDissan throws himself into Paradox Cave.
And this Paradox Cave location is pretty nice, because this is the end of Zelga's Kakariko route. Finding a sword there, which is going to be really helpful for this early game. But this is the end of his Kakariko route, so you'd probably be looking at a save and quit here anyway. So he can pretty freely just take that bottom connector, which you'll get locked out of if you don't have the mirror, and see where that is without really losing anything on his route.
Yeah, he might be tempted to bomb and check upstairs first. That glove might change his mind. But
yeah, check that first, but then as long as you don't get locked out up there, you can go to the bottom one.
Yep. All right, so a glove and a sword. You think Khloe's going to miss those things?
Yeah, the glove in Crosskeys, it's just really nice to have, because there's a lot of one-off glove lock locations that you pass along your route, and it's really nice to just knock those out rather than leaving stuff like the entrance to Death Mountain to be gotten later and have to come back for it.
That particular example is not super great, given that we have a save and quit at Lumberjack today, but
yeah, not today.
Certainly the glove rocks are all over the freaking map. So it turns out Paradox goes to the mountain.
Yeah, and so Zelga's going to elect to take that one, and finding the old man here, which not going to need to save and quit there to find that anymore. But electing to take that before checking the other Paradox connectors, because this is a pretty good spot to be. You want to check these entrances. And we're going to get to see where this Super Bunny connector takes us on Khloe's side. Didn't get any good items from those 2 there, but we'll see if this connector takes us somewhere valuable.
Nope.
Nope, not particularly useful. At least you get to check the Agena entrance pretty quickly, but you won't be seeing people go through that entrance again.
Nope. But at least Khloe hasn't checked the rest of the area. Like, I feel like getting spat out at Desert Right once before you've been over there is fine.
One of those places where there's a really annoying glove-locked location, though, that Khloe is going to have to skip, because that second rock down there has an entrance underneath it, but you won't be able to check that without the glove.
So Zelda has found Hyrule Castle. I missed where the right entrance was.
The right entrance is on the... I don't know where the front entrance was.
The front was the Dark World sank. All right, now we're off to actually go do some of this thing.
This is an excellent spot to save scum the key. I mean, you're giving up the bunny walk from the Hyrule Castle connector, but he's at the end of his route up here. I guess, because he can't even go back into Paradox Cave. So this would be a really good spot. We know that the back of escape is locked by either the Hyrule Castle Small or by the Beating Aghanim. So you might want to scum that key early when you're in a spot like this. Yeah,
so maybe the default play in this situation is to get the first two chests, take a Death Warp, and check the back. The next most popular play would have been to set up a save state and then check the front completely and reset if nothing was here. But that's not really an option right now. It's been heaps long time since Zelda saved. All right. Khloe's back in Mini Moldorm. You know what I mean. You can't just save the game in this game, Ellison.
It looks like he's going to stop short of going deeper into Zelda's cell and just save that cave for later. And I guess that makes a lot of sense because he can always come back to get that. The Old Man connector is right by that Hyrule Castle entrance. So if you find yourself in a pinch, you can go back and check the back of escape. And let's see where the back of Old Man is taking us today. That is to the Light Shopping Mall area. It'll be nice to get these entrances out of the way, but probably won't be coming back through this connector unless there's something nice over here.
Yeah, it's a good use once location. We'll see if he continues a South Shore route from here. It looks like yes. This might be a fake flipper. Or this might be a down and across the bottom. Both are actually reasonable, especially with the glove in hand. The Zora item is in logic. Don't get too excited. Khloe is coming back into Eastern. This is the second dip into Eastern, right? On Khloe's side?
Yes, it is. I wonder which chest.
A long ass walk for a big key. For one item. So Khloe did find the big key to Eastern in Super Bunny, but you got places to be. Khloe. I guess it's guaranteed item.
Because I think guaranteed items at this point, one of the things about Crosskeys is always like the value of entrances, checking entrances versus checking guaranteed items. And I think where these runners are at, the guaranteed items have a lot of value because they've done most of the Light World entrances that are available to them. We haven't seen stuff like Mini Moldorm Cave, the Dam entrance, the Light Height Cave entrance, but we've seen most of the other entrances that are available in the Light World. So once you get to that point, you're really kind of searching for that Moon Pearl before you have to do some sort of really long bunny walk trying to find the Moon Pearl in hammer pegs or something.
Yeah, but to me, one of the arguments against having gone into Eastern the first time Khloe found the place is that now Chloe's gone into the place twice. Whereas I believe Zelda has actually gone into Eastern 0 times.
He knows right.
Goldwood's and Hera. You can talk to that guy even while you're swimming through his floor.
Yeah, he doesn't ask many questions. He'll sell bombs to 10-year-olds. He sees people swimming through the floor of his shop. He just talks to them just like normal. So a really cool customer, that bomb shop guy.
Getting the bomb out of there is going to be an adventure. I think that's a flute-required bomb delivery if we ever need to get that far.
You might be able to set up a mirror from Catfish and walk it down.
So I was told recently that if you walk off a dock into the water, you can swim with it, with the bomb.
Yes.
Maybe that entrance counts as a dock for that purpose. So
yeah, I don't know. Because if you jump, the bomb will sit down and start its countdown. But if you jump off of a dock, it will not.
So Khloe is back and gets their glove and sword not too much later. Is also checking the upstairs exit paradox.
And we still haven't seen the downstairs connector for paradox because this upstairs one takes you over here, and then you can't really get back to that once you check it.
Yeah, and totally worth. So one, this is in logic, and two, it's totally worth hopping down to get these 5 entrances. Khloe hasn't yet saved the old man, so
yeah, absolutely worth it to take these entrances. It's very unlikely that wherever Paradox Bottom is, that it's going to take you to more Light World entrances, which Light World entrances are going to be more valuable than like ones you can get to Bunny Walk because it's faster, and there's only so many entrances that can actually give you items when you're walking as a bunny.
I mean, there's more entrances that give you items when you're walking as a bunny if you don't care about the logic.
That's true. Though I think when you get to this point, I think you want to actually care about the logic, because a lot of times in Crosskeys you don't want to care about the logic so much. But if it's the Moon Pearl that is their next thing, then you really want to get that. You don't want to start sequence breaking and skip your Moon Pearl for a half hour and be walking around the Dark World as a bunny really slowly.
Yeah, on the other hand, if you find out of logic items, sometimes that can be a really helpful guide as to where the thing isn't. Alright, so Zelga has a glove and gets to show us off this entrance, which is a heart piece, and a heart container. 4 whole heart pieces. And even 6 hearts green male Zelga is not interested in spending 7 whole seconds picking up a heart container.
Yeah, he turned down the blue mail earlier, so definitely not worried about dying. And also, sometimes extra health in blue mail can be annoying.
He does care about dying in that he would like to do it.
Yeah, that's gotta get in that, is that when you don't have the Moon Pearl and Crosskeys, you can do the you revive yourself if you die as a bunny, you come back as Link. So it's oftentimes very useful to die in Crosskeys, or even just doing normal Death Force before you have the mirror. So definitely understandable to skip the blue mail.
Yeah. We don't want to make it harder to die. We want to kill this lawyer that's trying to save the kingdom. All right. Death Mountain Ascent Cave. Nothing.
So, like, I'm kind of drawing blank as to what I mean. We might be down to Mini Molorm Cave and Bunny Walks at this point.
No,
I'm trying to think what other entrances are available.
Mini Molorm. So there's a bunch of connectors up on Death Mountain, and I think actually one of the drop-down ledges didn't get checked.
For connectors that we have on Death Mountain, we have the Spectacle Rock one that we haven't checked, though that's not in logic yet, because we have no logical access to the west side of Death Mountain. And then
somewhere we can't actually technically get to, yeah.
But we have some connectors to, actually our other connector.
Let me interrupt for a moment here. So Khloe got to the bottom of the front of Escape, didn't like that stuff, hit the reset button. So has given up some collection of things, but can now go do the back with the same key. Back to you, Dane.
Yeah, and Zelda did save the key. The difference between what Khloe did and what Zelda did, Khloe gets to see what's in Zelda's cell, whereas Zelda did not get to check that item.
Yeah, but was like 30 checks deep or something on since last time Zelda had saved.
Yeah, now Zelda didn't really have the option to do. He would have had to have taken a death.
Here's Meyer entrance. Missed that was here earlier.
I don't know if Khloe got all the way down there or not. But yeah, Meyer's not gonna. We can't do anything in Meyer yet because we can't get across that gap yet.
But Zelda-san, with glove in hand, gets to do Eastern Palace area the correct way around, the slightly faster way, which also will be more convenient because he's going to end his route at Super Bunny, which is just luck, but will make him happy. All right,
Definitely is nice to just immediately be able to do this Super Bunny Cave.
Khloe is busy saving the old man. As you can tell from the pattern of sparks on the screen, that's clearly the old man rescue cave. Much easier to tell the dark caves apart when the runners have a sword.
Yeah, because like when you're running, like there are different ways you can check, but it's not easy to tell if you're not the one playing the seed what the dark rooms are without that sword.
So Zelda-san attempts to set up the bomb jump in Super Bunny Cave, and then pokes the enemy too hard and falls down the hole anyway. Oops. So we'll see if that Eastern Palace Big Key plus the shortage of places to go tempts Zelda into an Eastern Palace dip.
Yeah, it's like Zelda knows that he has Dark World available in Logic through the Hyrule Castle connector, but I think we've done all the Light World entrances that are available at this time. So Eastern Palace may seem nice for the guaranteed 4 items.
You reckon we're down to Logic required bunny walks?
Magic Powder, I believe, is in Logic. That was, I believe, in the Eastern Palace big chest.
And the glove, which was also required to get into the Magic Bat, also in Logic still.
But yeah, then we could be down to required bunny walks. And they've actually got a decent amount of bunnyable items right now. They can do Sick Kid right now. They can do Hammer Pegs. We haven't seen that one yet. You can retrieve that item as a bunny. You have the Hype Cave NPC. We haven't seen Hype Cave yet. We also haven't seen this yet either. The first item in Aga Tower, which we'll see on Zelda's side. I kind of forgot about this one when both those runners noped out of here.
Zelda using the rarely seen Quake medallion. Nobody ever uses Quake.
Actually, that's not in Logic yet, but that other the Castle Tower Small Key is out there. I can't remember where Khloe got that, but it is probably Eastern Palace, since that's where Zelda has not been. But that is out there somewhere. We need a lamp to get the item from it.
The dam.
Getting our first some bunny walks, seeing the dam.
And that's as far as Khloe wants to go right now. Fair enough.
Yeah, there's not really... That's the only one you can do in Village of Outcasts is a bunny, and you'd have to go a bit out of the way to do anything else up there.
Yeah, you can go north, but it's a long walk, and Khloe's got better things to do. I'm actually a little bit surprised. Zelda gets blue mail whether he wants it or not. So if you're in Zelda-san's shoes now, what's your next protocol?
Well, I think you check that the powder immediately if it was where I thought in the Eastern big chest, because that's in Logic and it's really your last check. And then I think you just got to go into the Dark World and do those bunny walks. I would probably save and quit to Old Man and go to the Hyrule Castle one, because that'll get you to Dark Sanctuary. And then it's just a matter of doing some long bunny walks. So there's actually a lot of entrances they can get to as a bunny from that Dark Sank.
It's basically everything except the pot area and Dark Death Mountain. And like the Goldwoods 3, but nobody cares about that entrance.
Yeah, wouldn't want to be looking to sequence break Skullwoods at this point, I don't think, because you're looking for that Moon Pearl pretty hard right now. If you're down to just bunny walks left, you know it's going to show up. So maybe you find the mirror, and then the Moon Pearl's in a mirror lock location, or you find something else that'll give you a little more access. But it's probably looking like the Moon Pearl will be the next item.
Don't promise anything. I
You can always get the mirror into the race game side being a Turtle Rock entrance or something, but there's just not that much left other than because even if we get more,
so we found Hookshot Cave and we found Paradox Cave, and so the really horrible logical connectors can't happen. But you can occasionally, for instance, be logically required to walk into Paradox Cave as a bunny, walk through to a different entrance, go out to like the right side of desert, just to turn into a real boy, to go back in to put it in logic, which is pretty horrible. We found the good connector chest caves already, which is or Hookshot and Paradox. So
that Hookshot Cave does bring up another point, though, because I was thinking the Hookshot probably doesn't give these runners much, having seen both sides of the mountain, but it does give them the 4 items if they were to find that. Boots could also give you a few more entrances.
Yeah. And they are missing some places that could take them that are useful. ZelgaDissan hasn't yet done these few, which turn out to be nothing. And Khloe sequence breaking the flipper checks while they're in the area. I like loading up on the 15 bombs.
Yeah, I think it's really useful in Crosskeys, especially because sometimes you'll get the main reason I like that, other than like the early game just using all the bomb entrances, is sometimes you get really nasty vitreous fights in Crosskeys where you're just on fighter sword and no bow, and having the extra bombs can help.
I mean, also, though I'm not think that bomb Trinex is anybody's idea of a good time, but fighter sword Helma and fighter sword Trinex both come up sometimes. So you can, in principle, be required to do some pretty horrible Helma sword fights.
Looks like Zelda's going to go over Magic Bat, because that's about the only thing up in this area he hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we're going to get if we're going to have to do a nice long bunny walk looking for an item, or if this Magic Bat will be our progression.
So we're going to swim through the bomb shop guy's floor. Khloe apparently not aware you can talk to that guy without anything bad happening. So doesn't get the info. All right, Bat, what do you got?
And there's our Moon Pearl. Very nice. Because you really don't like doing those long bunny walks, because a lot of times the Moon Pearl locked entrances will get orphaned when you have to do a long bunny walk like that. Like the entrance to Thieves Town can get set aside with just the brewery over there. But now Zelda will be like over into the Dark World with that Moon Pearl in hand.
Yeah, I mean that was last location, but at least it was only last location once, in some sense. That could have been set off the boots or something and run around the whole world again, locking up in all the boots locations. Looks like the ZelgaDissan is going to at least go as far as the second chest in here.
Yeah, he's right here, and it's on its way, so it makes sense if you're comfortable doing this room in the dark.
It looks like Khloe is back to go do the back of escape,
or maybe even the bunny walks. This is the best Dark World access that they have. I'm just seeing 3 bombs in that room on Zelda's side.
Khloe hasn't checked the exits yet, so I expect after seeing all 3 exits, they will go to the back.
They have to go recollect that key, I guess, because they did the hard reset after collecting the key.
Yep. There's the cost of doing this. And having not set up the death warp, is going to have to walk like a chump all the way back around.
And looks like Zelda's going to get a look at that one Paradox entrance before, because you figure your next move is going to be save and quit to Old Man to get to the Dark World, but may as well get this entrance out of the way while you're in the area.
That's a decent Village Vetcasts connector, eventually. But you need a hammer.
Yeah, and that location can sometimes be annoying if your hammer is particularly late in the seed, because then, I mean, at least Hammer Pegs is over there with it, but it can be kind of an isolated entrance to check later on.
And of course, by the time you have Soga has a hammer, he will have good old-fashioned Dark World access. But it still actually might be a useful connector just to get around. It's actually faster to go from the library through Paradox than it is to go and go through the traditional Dark World portal.
Yeah, without the boots or the Titansmiths, getting through that row of weeds is quite a long endeavor.
Smooth Jedi, Khloe got that chest earlier, and it must be something so irrelevant they're not willing to sit through the animation again. Yeah, the red meringue definitely counts as something so worthless as to not be worth picking up.
Openers in the same place. We'll get to see pretty close together checks of this back escape.
All right, let's see what's actually here. $50, card piece, $5.
Yeah, not a very nice back escape there.
So, I'll assume you can you can complain to Khloe about their choice not to pick it up. In their mind, clearly not worth picking up. And ZelgaDissan resets to open up the possibility of going and checking Zelda's cell.
That would be a really mean check, but we already know it's nothing. Hopefully he never gets pushed to a point where that becomes a good option.
Yeah. ZelgaDissan really hopes not to have to do that, but given that it was a save and quit immediately adjacent to Hyrule Castle, that reset is free.
Absolutely.
I mean, it costs $55. Woo.
It's definitely worth having that key, just in case. But really hoping not to go back.
Khloe is not too terribly far behind Zelga here. I don't think has done anything that ZelgaDissan hasn't particularly, so I think is just straight up behind.
The thing he knows, or they know, is the dam entrance. That's the only extra information.
Yeah,
Not hard to find that one.
ZelgaDissan remembering to pick up the Murderdactyl Murdering sign. Don't know what that sign says on it, but it kills Murderdactyls, so.
Yeah, it's very useful when you're coming over here with not that much health and not a very good weapon to get rid of it. Zelda figuring out which connector that is, I wasn't able to tell from that movement, but he knows which one it is.
Yeah,
And yeah, pointing out that that has to be one of the Death Mountain ascents because it's the only dark room left.
Yeah, there's only a reasonably short list of dark connectors, and we've actually done a bunch of them. So, I believe that was the non-diagonally way into the final connector, but.
And there's Swamp Palace, so found Swamp, found the dam, and still need 2 more pieces to be able to get into that dungeon. Need the small key and the flippers.
Who wants to go in a swamp?
Yeah, only when you have to, really. And we've got the King's Tomb over here for Zelda, just having 10 arrows today.
Yeah, I think zelgadissan, if not arrow capped, would have had 100 by now on account of no bow, but there's been plenty of arrow drops. I enjoy chat defending the red meringue here. Zelda is making extensive use of it with a lack of other exciting items.
Yeah, it can be pretty useful in the early game, especially you'll have a lot of crosskeys where you just have no sword for a long time or no other way to check the stun prize. And these give those, yeah, it's just, it really comes up big sometimes.
Yeah, this room a lot easier with the Gibdos fence.
And we'll see what sort of layout you go with Skull is. You really don't want the vanilla front to be in the back because then you sometimes can even get trapped in it. And even if you don't get trapped, it's a long way back to that one isolated drop down to get out of the back.
So we're also getting the bad news about the third exit to Paradox. Mixed news, I guess.
And we unfortunately do have that bad layout of Skullwoods where the front, which has most of the items in it, is in the back. So if Zelda wants to get there, he's going to have to go through one of these drop downs, hope it's one of the right ones, not the 1 in 4 chance of being the wrong one. And it was. This is the wrong one. You don't want this one. And then after that, I think actually you're guaranteed to be trapped now because this is the only way out of that.
Yep. This is shit woods. So we'll see actually if zelgadissan is even interested. Looks like yes. It's not too painful to get back over here.
Yeah. With the Dark World access being through the Old Man front, it's pretty quick to get back here. If this was a really long one, like you have to go through Spiral Cave and had to walk there to get here, I don't think you'd do this for sure.
That's picking up all 4 chests, presumably, and then saving and putting, saving the key for later use in the back.
Yeah, in Crosskeys, this chest is still guaranteed to always be a key because you might just drop down here randomly and get locked, not knowing that that's the drop down. So you definitely want to still have that be a small key, and you want to have at least one small key. So they already found the back of Skullwoods, but you want to be able to clear out that back when you find it.
Like, zelgadissan is not interested in your old man nonsense. Would rather go back to the castle. I think this might be the other side of the Death Mountain Cave.
Yeah, this is the Old Man front. So, I mean, we've got the Spectacle Rock connector up here that no one has seen where that takes us yet. I don't know what else is up here other than that.
Oh, are we rescuing the old man twice?
We'll see. If he got lost again, I don't know if it's worth rescuing him again. Someone needs to keep him in his house.
Bad day. It's actually, I think, fairly infrequent in Crosskeys Seeds that you actually go through the old man cave even once. And so twice is new and exciting.
So we'll see where this connector takes us. Maybe we'll get something like the pod area that we don't have access to otherwise, or the top of Dark Death Mountain or Light Death Mountain. I kind of can understand this play by Zelda because there's a lot. They haven't seen the good guaranteed connectors like top of Bumper or top of Dark Death Mountain, and here is that top of Dark Death Mountain. So you're fairly likely to find some new entrances taking that connector with what connectors we've already seen, because we've already seen like Desert Useless.
Yeah, unfortunately no mirror yet, but at least can take some things off.
We found Ice Palace and Desert up here.
Yeah, Desert is also a connector, but it's like the slowest connector in the game.
Yeah.
And there's an item in here. Yay!
It's a good place to find Desert here because this is Zelda's got the 2 other entrances he could jump down to from here. but otherwise, not too much interesting over here. So you might want to check these connectors. If you don't get locked out or find something interesting, you can come back for those 2 entrances, but maybe you'll find something that will attract your attention.
Chloe, on the other hand, has found Pod, which is actually a place that you're interested in going to. Unfortunately, only one of the 6 keys have turned up. The flippers are interesting and pull some checks they've made that were useless into logic, but is one step closer on the Skullwoods Swamp Palace puzzle.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the desert right on Zelda's side is the Dark Shopping Mall, which had the 2-item ferry, no real useful items, but other than that, not much.
Yeah, but it's another thing ticked off the list. Like, you're very happy to get spat out over there. It's the long-ass walk.
Yeah, it's really annoying to get over there. The best way is pretty much when you're up by that Catfish Dark Witch's Hut area. You can take that portal sometimes. Depends on if you have the flippers or not. And there's a Master Sword over there on Chloe's side. And then we did find the pod area from the Desert Palace as well. That's a pretty useful Desert Palace, giving us access to several entrances that we otherwise would not have access to.
On the other hand, the fact that it's useful is, in some sense, kind of annoying, because you don't really want to walk to the castle, to walk through Speck Rock, to walk through the desert.
Yeah, for sure. So you're kind of hoping that these are some nice items you can get, but nothing you have to return to, because if you have, that would be a long trek. Dark Shopping Mall didn't have anything you need to return to. We'll see if the pod area has anything worth coming back to.
Chloe, remembering that Hookshot Cave goes to Village of Outcasts, I believe, was the character that took over here. Or maybe it was Paradox. No, Hookshot Cave. He's now in like the part of the Dark World with all the stuff in it, which is a reasonable place to start your Dark World exploration.
And that cape we got here, so that gives us access to the Bumper Cave we found, and also the Agate Tower entrance, though also having that Master Sword Chloe now already had access to the Agate Tower entrance.
Yeah, we can go in 2 ways.
It's twice in logic now.
Well, let's see if we can get it to 3 times in logic. Fire Rod at the Dig Game is a good find.
Yeah, always nice to get your first fire source. They can use that to beat back of Skull Woods. And when they get to Mire access, can get some of the chests in there. I don't know what else we've seen that will require the fire at this point, but very nice to find that.
It sort of doesn't matter in some sense. Like, the Fire Rod checks are a bit like the glove checks, and that there's a few here and there, and it's kind of obnoxious to go back for them.
Absolutely.
The Brothers connector is to the rock safety ledge, which would be much more interesting if we didn't have a bunch of other ways up to effectively exactly there. So,
and we've even already seen the Fairy Ascent top, so not even interesting if we mirror over there to find the entrance.
It's basically completely useless. Despite the fact that in many games, in many Crosskeys layouts, would actually be an interesting connector to me.
Yeah, sometimes that'll be your first access to East Death Mountain if you come there having the mirror.
Right. So zelgadissan making this somewhat unfortunate trip to the pyramid without the mirror. On the other hand, we've already checked the top of the castle, having got spat out there at Spiral Cave, so it's not going to get any better, and Big Key to Thieves makes this a required trip at some point.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to find that Big Key of Thieves over here, because we still haven't found Thieves Town, and Zelda hasn't done the bulk of his Dark World checks yet, so there's a decent chance in his mind that you find Thieves Town, and this kind of isolated, had to go through desert to get to pod area could really pay off.
And here's Laser Bridge.
Yep, that cape's going to be really useful here. Gets to get some free, not having to do any laser skips without the boots today.
Yeah, we don't have to laser skip. We can just laser. Can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. Man, this is a lot easier when you don't have to mess about. Um,
Just having a map there on Catfish, which I don't think we've seen a map check. Here's GT, though. That's a really nice entrance. Not at this point, really, because we can't get that much stuff from here with the current item loadout, but generally in Crosskeys, you have to make a couple of trips to GT to get the swath of items that are in here.
Yeah, it's more than 10% of the items in the game are in GT, so certainly the odds are that something's in here.
Looks like Zelda's going to join Khloe doing those Dark World checks. May do, I don't know if we've seen... No, we did see the Dark Lumberjack. So Zelda just has the south sort of Dark World from here.
And Khloe, doing things in a slightly different order, is going to show just how long the walk is to shopping mall, but we'll get to connector out of, do the same connectoring that Zelda did in the opposite direction. So
yeah, we'll be able to get his their Thief Town big key, and we see the flute there in the dam, which I think Khloe should have that as well, because I think I saw the dam was pulled on their side as well.
So triple factorial, they actually call it fast Ganon now in the Crosskeys generator, but Entrance Rando used to call the goal crystals when it was set up like this, in that beating Aga 2 still opens the hole in the pyramid, which does block one item today. So.
Yeah, fast Ganon just means that you don't have to beat Aga 2 to make Ganon vulnerable, which if you're playing a standard or an open mode, would be absolutely no different than usual. So they open up the pyramid there, so it's actually different from the normal mode, whereas in Crosskeys, since Ganon's anywhere, fast Ganon is different. It still matters even with the pyramid shot.
Yeah. All right.
And see Zelda able to get his flippers out of this pod. We'll see how Zelda elects to approach this pod. May want perhaps to try a mimic clip if that's something he's comfortable doing.
I believe so, yes, but opts to go in the front door at least to begin with. We'll see if he continues having gotten these first two chests. So Khloe will come out of this with slightly less information than Zelda, missing the connector to the fact that Spec Rock connects to the floating island. We haven't seen the floating island item yet, so that may or may not turn out to be relevant.
But so Khloe could decide to dip Ice Palace here. Probably won't want to do that with the current item loadout, but does have that option.
Yeah, if they're crazy, they could do something. Here's the potion glitch. Much faster than a mimic clip. The old-fashioned way to get through the bow side.
Ah, yes, that's good that he had that potion there. Because, yeah, mimic clip, even if you're good at it, generally will take longer than the potion glitch.
Yeah, there's a few runners that can do it in unbelievably quickly, and then everybody else, it takes a while.
Rewarded with a bottle.
But now has two empty bottles, which is slightly unfortunate.
Too notable on the Bowlock side there. And we saw that Khloe elected to do the two entrances below on East Dark Death Mountain rather than follow the rest of the desert connector to the pod area. Didn't find anything noteworthy on those two entrances.
Yeah. I think that's a totally reasonable bird in the hand versus, sort of balancing choice. You don't really want to, given that Khloe doesn't know there's any other way to up there, abandoning the third desert entrance, seems reasonable.
Yeah, I think I because like you have two guaranteed entrances down there, and then that connector is only valuable if it takes you to more entrances. So you kind of like, okay, is this going to take me to more than these two entrances? And it kind of does, but Khloe having the flippers already is able to get over to the pod area anyway without having to take that connector.
Get there the, I guess, not old-fashioned way. Not how the game works in vanilla, but I guess the old-fashioned way to get across the water.
So Zelda got the fire rod there. We're kind of running low on places that haven't been checked yet again. I'm not. We did go down to the Swamp Palace entrance. I'm kind of thinking, like, what do we have left? We've got some items and dungeons available, but we're running kind of low on entrances.
Yeah. We haven't found the top of East Death Mountain, or the top of Light World Death Mountain at all, and we haven't found West Dark Death Mountain. And then, of course, there's the various mirror lock locations, of which there's a ton. But
yeah, and also because we have one connector available that neither runner has followed. That's Bumper Cave on the top of West Death Mountain, and the cave is available. So that is as in logic as the west side of the mountain, which currently I don't believe is in logic because it's in logic now because you could walk through Hookshot Cave in Village of Outcasts. So that's perfectly fine. That could be the progression. And then that could take us to like Desert or top of Death Mountain, like you mentioned. Or we might have to dip some dungeons like Ice Palace or Skullwoods back or even Swamp Palace for that first chest for some item.
And Swamp Palace first chest, given they found all the things to get to it, it's actually not that bad a check if you're in the area, but people have sort of a visceral reaction to it.
Yeah, because the thing that makes Swamp first chest really bad in standard modes is that you have to walk over in the Dark World, mirror, pull the dam, go through the mirror portal again, then go into the first chest. And that's really annoying. But in Crosskeys, you just walk to wherever Swamp Palace is, and you can get that first item pretty quickly.
It's like better than Agina. Certainly going into Agina. Khloe gets the bad news about the brother's connector. Tells the left-hand brother that he lives at a terrible spot and he should feel bad. And heads back out front.
Zelda showing off, not even needing to use that cape at all, just doing laser skips and not getting hit at all.
Yeah, Zelda, it turns out, is real good at some of the technical stuff in this game. Zelda doesn't have anything to get anywhere in GT, so just the first three checks here.
And this is kind of rough where we're at, because like the checks that they have left, they're just not fun ones. Like Skullwoods beating Modula, not too bad. We don't know if it's Pendant or Crystal, but at least it's pretty quick. But then doing Ice Palace with their loadout right now, that's basically torture.
Zelda breaks off his run, or his route at GT.
So I don't think either of these runners has activated the flute yet. So we'll probably want to see that. It doesn't give us anything logically, but it will be nice to get around.
Yeah. With the lack of conventional Dark World access, it's a little bit more obnoxious. Especially considering that I don't think any of their good connectors are particularly close to flute spots.
Yeah, so because like the right now getting to the west side of Death Mountain is bad. The only way they can get there is either going through Village of Outcast Hookshot Cave or through the front of Old Man. Neither of those are going to be very quick. Whereas this flute will give them that access to that. That's where Bumper Cave is, which is the connector that neither of these runners have checked. So perhaps maybe you want to check that soon. But if not, at least this will give us the Hookshot Cave entrance relatively close.
For some values of relatively. It's all the way up the mountain, basically. So
Yeah, it's closer than it is now. It's still there's not a, there's you sometimes you'll get really nice connectors that go from like you'll have like the old lady house go right from Kakariko to Village of Outcasts, and you can just keep using that connector. But we don't have anything quite that nice today. That Old Man Hyrule Castle isn't bad, but it's really the best we've got.
Well, and Dark World Sank is not like it's connected to everywhere. It's not going to get connected to everywhere quickly.
Yeah, it's kind of all by itself out in the top north part of the Dark World.
All right, so Khloe has gotten to the top of West Dark Death Mountain, having argued with some Lynels, and finds one of the worst bits of news you can get at that point. Is an entrance you have to come back for later.
Yeah, we've already found both Mimic Cave and Spike Cave, which are kind of entrances that just one item, not very fun to do, that you need to come back when you've got some higher set of items than you have right now.
Well,
And
Mothula doesn't drop anything of interest, but a crystal. Hey, we're one step closer to opening the pyramid with the terrible bomb shop location.
yeah, I guess Zelda did actually know that Skullwoods was a crystal, having did the talking to the bomb guy while swimming, whereas Khloe did not do that.
I mean, it probably seemed impolite. Swimming up to a guy's feet through his floorboard.
Swimming. We also saw the first check there of the item that we got for freeing the dam. It's just 50 rupees today. And also, yeah, we do have one more entrance over here in the light world, this flipper locked entrance in where the Queen Fairy normally is. And just the archery game, which can be nice if you find it early enough, but with 747 rupees and already having done Zora, it's not really worth it at all.
This might be the Bumper Cave check.
Yes. Yeah, Bumper Cave up in the Spectacle Rock top entrance is a connector we haven't checked, and since we haven't found the other end of that, it's pretty likely that connector takes us somewhere we haven't seen. It could just be the Turtle Rock Laser Bridge entrance for one item, but it could also just be anywhere on the top Light Death Mountain, which would give us a little bit more entrances.
No, Zelda instead choosing to take the portal and check the two Dark World entrances.
I thought he had already done that, but I guess I misremembered.
Nope, Khloe did this like a minute ago, but
Yeah, Zelda elected to do Spiral Cave instead of doing these.
but Khloe hasn't stolen the key yet for Skullwoods, and so got to Skullwoods, walked in, and saw their key count, I think. And felt bad. Where to next? ZelgaDissan.
Yeah, we've got, I think we're down to that connector and Ice Palace. That's all I can think of that they have available to them right now. I guess if you really were feeling adventurous, you could also check the Death Mountain Ascent connector we found. That's one of the more annoying ones to check in the dark.
ZelgaDissan, so this is one of the cases where the commentators know more than the players do. Hasn't jumped off of Dark East Death Mountain yet, and so that's what this check is.
Oh no, I think Zelda did do this one.
Zelda did this, but then followed the desert connectors.
Oh, correct. Yes, he didn't do the...
Khloe got up here via the desert connectors. No, we're doing their palace with 0 keys and no Canis Maria.
I mean, so the Freezor room, Ice Tea room, and the Pengator room are fully available, I believe, right now. The other ones, not so much. What was I going to say about... these Zelda could just jump down after doing some of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's on the way. Khloe, not too proud to pick up a heart, but also has to clean up some glove locked locations that they walked past before picking up their glove. Much nicer to do in flutinated. Hasn't checked Spectrock. We'll get this bit of information and be presumably slightly sad. Might check the third desert connector. Or join Zelda in relatively low percent ice palacing.
Oh, another entrance that someone in chat mentioned that we have available to us is the back of Skull Woods entrance. That would be a bit of a trek. Not as wouldn't be as bad for Khloe having not done the front of Skull Woods yet, but
yeah,
it's really annoying.
If Khloe finds themselves over there, I would mostly expect them to go check that out.
Yelling King, a lot of play today over on Zelga's side. Don't normally see that.
Seems like it's good. I actually feel like, in general, runners use the medallions less than they should. Yes, if you're... I think, quick swap makes the medallions more useful. The time cost is lower. And frankly, there's plenty of rooms where, with perfect NMG execution, the medallion's not faster. But we don't have perfect execution every time, and especially not with random equipment that isn't necessarily very good.
Yeah, you can't do the normal sword spin strategy in that room with the Master Sword. You'd have to do the double bomb strategy, and without the boots, you're going to take some damage. Ice Palace turning out to, I believe that's the last of the checks that we have in logic to us.
Yeah, but we know the Ice Palace bomb jump, so screw that.
We're going to see some other Ice Palace bomb jumps today on the hookshot lock side. Because Zelda didn't do the Ice Palace bomb jump, the normal one, because you only need to do that bomb jump here in this scenario if you end up finding the hammer in here. But this bomb jump will help get to some extra checks.
Yeah, we're way too cool for logic at this point. All right, Khloe apparently hasn't done Spiral yet. Or no, did Spiral, didn't have a Master Sword at the time. Now gets the miserable task of doing Spiral again to go check the Agate Tower entrance.
Yeah, really, all the locations left are pretty bad at this point.
I think of all the places you don't want to walk through twice, Spiral Cave is right up there, especially at non-boot speed. All right, so
yeah, no shot, just having to struggle through it.
Has had enough of Ice Palace.
Tower of Hera. That's 2 items that we can get right away.
That's a real place.
And you like to see the tower in a tower. Tower of Hera is in Agate Tower today. And there's the boots, so that's a very convenient item. It also gives us a lot, like 3 entrances right now, so very nice.
Yeah. Go faster, go faster, go faster!
And also, so more than 3 entrances, that also gives us Misery Mire entrance now.
Mm-hmm. That might be the first target here.
Well, this connector will take us to the normal Misery Mire. Both these runners checking that entrance. But the Misery Mire being over, I don't know if Khloe knows about Misery Mire in the Flute 5 spot. But if not, that's a pretty quick one to check if you're down to some one-off entrances.
I'm surprised this is a higher priority for Khloe than, like the Bonk Rocks behind Lake's house. But both of our runners going and visiting Mr. Spatula now with high security.
Ooh, hammer.
And it's a good thing he has high security because he's guarding the hammer.
Yeah, so now you gotta wonder when Zelda will get over to get those boots, because that hammer gives you a lot of other options. I guess maybe not too many new options now that I think about it. Yeah,
and the mirror might, gives another way to get to Hera, but it's still not in a great spot, right? It's a mirror accessible check, but he's already checked 2 of the things up there and the pyramid item. So even if the mirror turns up, we won't be terribly excited to go over there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Zelga walking for like the next half an hour at least.
Yeah, Zelga's going to go over and get that Kakariko well that's been hammer locked for quite a while, or mirror locked also, but need mirror and mitts. But hammer is going to be our way in here today. This is 5 items, so maybe there'll be something in here that'll give us a little more than what that hammer gave us in terms of locations.
Well, and as mentioned earlier, we do know where both Spike and Mimic caves are. Both of which probably seem more appealing than walking through Spiral Cave for a single entrance. So,
yeah. So Spike Cave is over. It's over by Lake Hylia Island in that shop entrance, and then Mimic Cave is that's on like Dark Death Mountain, so it's not one that you're gonna get to anytime soon.
yeah. Khloe regretting not having a red meringue right here.
Yeah, no. Could use the Ether Medallion if you're really feeling the mummies getting you down.
I mean, with half magic, give her. Oh, shovel for hook shot.
Yeah, so that hammer and hookshot combination, that opens up a lot of Ganon's Tower items. Not all of them will be in Logic, but I'm sure our runners, once they get over to GT, will not particularly care about that, and will get as many as they can.
First, Misery Mire with a fire rod and a key. The one key is useful for convenience.
Really nice to have one here to make the routing of Misery Mire easier.
Not at all necessary, but definitely nice.
And no big key, no Cane of Samaria. We'll not be able to clear that unless we get both of those items in here, but there's a lot of accessible items. We can get 6 items out of here. So it's one of the, even GT has few, the items in GT are not in Logic, though I don't know if all of these ones are in Logic with just the one key. I don't think these 2 over here are.
Yeah, the logic assumes you're a moron. So key logic is always pretty aggressive in the number of keys you need to get to any particular spot.
Oh, and chat pointing out that we do have the Misery Mire big key.
Yeah, which is 7 items instead of 6.
And sometimes you just find the Cane of Samaria in here, so maybe you can get lucky. It's easier to find 1 item than 2.
Okay. Khloe hanging out, holding on pinball chest, waiting for the express ride out of there, not wanting to use the key, but wanting to go check the Woods 3 entrance. Let's see if it's anything exciting. No. The most well-guarded shop in the world.
I'm going to have trouble doing any business in that shop.
Yeah.
Zelda finding the Desert Palace small in Misery Mire. Haven't had the opportunity to even steal the key to check the right side of Desert Palace. We have not found the back of Desert Palace yet. We're still looking for back of Desert Palace and Thieves Town. I believe we found all of the other dungeons. Not all of the Turtle Rock places, but...
As marked on our public-facing tracker. Is a feature that I've mentioned. I'm mentioning a lot until people stop asking about it. Which
it's very nice.
If the dungeon is still showing the name rather than the boss portrait, the runner has not yet visited the boss containing section of the dungeon. And of course, as usual, a fully illuminated boss is defeated. So Khloe taking their hammer to hookshot.
Yeah, I think this might be a bit of Crosskeys sort of autopiloting. You have regular Dark World access. Oh no, you've got this one item, okay. Because you have the regular Dark World access, you don't have to take this connector to get to the Village of Outcasts anymore. Getting a compass for the troubles.
Yeah, could go better. Ooh, a rupee. Zelgadissan got a rupee.
Just the 1 rupee for the spike chests.
Yeah.
Probably won't even cover the medical fees for the spike damage.
I mean, your grandpa kisses you all better for free, so. Medical care in this game is very inexpensive. Khloe mimic caving. Gets the wall grab wrong the first time, but fixes it up. And gets a heart piece. Womp womp.
Yeah, it looks like Zelga is going to follow in Khloe's footsteps over to Hookshot Cave, only he has the hookshot, so he'll be able to check all of the items in there.
Yeah, Hookshot Cave, way more exciting with a hookshot.
Unless you can hover, then it's equally as exciting with the boots.
I think it's still easier with the hookshot.
Definitely easier.
And faster. Turns out even Masterclass hovering is still not.
So we see our first look at some of the boots locked entrances. The Bonk Rocks by Sanctuary not having anything good. Hookshot Cave's got one more chance to be anything, and it still is nothing.
Yeah, the Walter match was like 6 hours ago, so you have to put up with ZelgaDissan versus Khloe, which is totally worth watching. So you should stay and hang out. But somebody poked Jinxie to fix the stream title.
It looks like Zelda's going to knock out that Mimic Cave because there's really not going to be a better time to get here. And meanwhile, we're going to see on Khloe's side, going to do GT without that hook shot. If Khloe knows the bomb jumps, they'll be able to get the same chest the hook shot would give you, just a little bit trickier.
Yeah. Trickier and slower, but there's no guarantee that the hook shot's going to turn up anytime soon, and things over here might even tell you where the hook shot isn't.
And that bomb jump a little bit easier to set up when you have the boots and can do it on that side. Because the boots you can bonk all the way down to the bottom, so you really only have to bomb jump to this chest and the fire snake chest.
It's totally illogic and bunkinating. Bonk. Bonk. Bonk.
Definitely run the bonk count for that end game stat. And this chest here is actually locked by all 4 of the GT small keys, so it generally is less likely to have something. Doesn't mean it can't, but if you're over here and have enough keys that you can check it, then may as well.
Yeah, certainly not going to leave it behind, because it turns out there's a bunch of doors you'd way rather leave locked than that one.
There are some times when, if you don't have enough keys to get to a rando room, you might want to leave that door locked, because then you can get all lit Ice Armos, which, curiously, Ice Armos is only locked by 3 keys, because even if you use your keys as dumb as possible, you'll get away to Ice Armos with just 3.
Yeah, via the other side. Unfortunately, the key logic can't handle things like Canis Maria and Fire Rod and 3 keys, or Hookshot, that sort of thing.
Not yet. They're looking to upgrade it to have that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that the door rando logic basically can get ported over.
We haven't really found anything yet in these first 9 checks in the left side of GT.
ZelgaDissan showing off that this whole procedure is faster when you have a hookshot.
Yeah, even with Khloe having boots, it's still going faster with hookshot, no boots.
Boots are in Hera, and Hera is in a terrible spot. So Hera's in Agate Tower. We've been to the top of the castle already, and the way to the top of the castle is Spiral Cave. So, and Spiral Cave is not even in a good spot.
Spiral Cave's up on the right before the long staircase on the West Death Mountain in the Light World. All right, so we'll get to see what's behind Ice Armos today, see if there's anything of note in this lower portion of Ganon's Tower. And we're going to have to see. So Master Sword is actually pretty bad against the Armos Knights. So you see Khloe here using Sword Beams, because Sword Beams do more damage than Master Sword slashes to the Armos Knights.
Because damage tables are dumb.
Yeah, so like the best, in terms of damage, the Fire Rod would do the most damage of the items they have, but that's you only get so many shots. And then the Sword Beams are the next best option for this loadout. Zelda probably not. Oh, I guess he'll be able to powder to get the Sword Beams and have the same option. So he had to do the
This
bomb.
is like the only time in the game that you're interested in having sword beams. But so the one thing we have found is the Swamp Palace Small from Bob's chest. So that might be the next thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, we can fully clear that. Well, Khloe, unfortunately, can't fully clear that without having that hook shot. But we'll be able to get most of the items out of there.
Yeah, and unfortunately with the flute in hand, Chloe's shovel priority. One, the shovel was in somewhere that Zelda went with hammer. But then the priority to go over there and actually turn in your shovel is not very high. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of... Oh, I think Shovel was in Kakariko Well, right?
Yes, which is actually a place that Chloe's reasonably likely to go, given that they know where it is, and it's 5 items.
Yeah, sometimes you can forget about that until a little bit late. Hopefully Khloe will remember to go there. Because I think if you go to there, I think you do turn in the shovel, and then you save yourself from Hookless Swamp.
Save yourself some angst.
Yeah, Hookless Swamp is never fun.
Alright, so Chloe's remembering to check all the boot bonk locations. Thieves Town. That's a payoff.
Yep, that's a dungeon we can full clear. It's a green pendant, unfortunately, but it's a lot of items, so definitely we'll see Khloe collect some of these here.
This is a big old item cave right now. No. That's a good one.
Yep, we don't know if Turtle Rock is required to beat or not, but that big chest is nice to find. We haven't found the big chest entrance yet.
78% required.
Yes.
So Zelda with the hook off Swamp Palace, which is also a big old item cave. Except, again, 78% likely to be a crystal.
Another big key, unfortunately, that big key in Thieves Town that Khloe just got is the Skull Woods one, which is just a fetch quest. It may as well be a second shovel.
Yeah, except even worse.
Yeah, even longer to check. There's that Hyrule Castle Small, so now that garbage that was in the back of Escape is in Logic. Without the lamp, it's not in Logic yet, because Crosskeys doesn't have advanced logic for Fire Rod Dark Rooms.
Yeah, I mean, the lamp logic already sucks enough. No reason to make it worse. Khloe. This
Getting a bit bullied by that
not
start.
I was gonna say nice things, and then the end of it did not go so good.
Yeah, so I think with where these runners are at, I think we can start kind of thinking about what sort of things are we looking for to beat this seed? Because we haven't found Backup Desert, so if that is a crystal, we're probably going to need the mirror, because that's where most of our entrances are that we haven't gotten. Most of them are either mirror locked. We could get bailed out by the bumper cave connector, taking us to somewhere that's otherwise mirror locked. So we're gonna may need to find that if it's a crystal. We're gonna need to find, and then I think it really depends on where the rest of our crystals are, because you might need the pod big key, for instance, to crystal.
We still only might need the bow, but it's highly likely.
Yeah.
And Ice Rod, like the Turtle Rock Big, is a maybe. But with high probability, we need the bow and the cane.
Yeah, we'll certainly need at least one of them. could actually dodge if we get both Turtle Rock and Misery Mire pendant. We don't need the K, and if we get both Eastern and Pod to be pendants, and we don't need the bow. But you can't have all 4 of them be pendants.
Yeah, that's a 1 in 36. Either one of those is a 1 in 36. So,
yeah. So it's likely we were going to need both of them.
Oh, sorry, half that. 1 in 18. But yeah. And unlike some co-commentators, when you say that Turtle Rock or Thieves' Town is full clearable, you're not lying because they have all the stuff to actually open the big chest.
Yeah, you have to. In a lot of times in Thieves' Town and Crosskeys, you won't even have that small key, so you have to, against your own will, orphan that. Because in like the standard modes, you're only orphaning it if you come here without the hammer. But sometimes in Crosskeys, that small key can be really anywhere. So it's really nice when you find it before going in the first time. So we haven't. So we found that Turtle Rock big key in Thieves' Town, which is nice, but I don't think we found anything too nice otherwise in either Swamp or Thieves here.
I mean, ZelgaDissan's got a ways to go yet.
Yeah, we've only seen less than half of the Swamp items so far.
Ooh, a Fisher Price shield.
Finally forced to have a shield.
Is Zelda too cool for left side swamp?
I thought he did it already.
Did he? He did. That's a weird order.
Yeah, it was an interesting order, but I thought he did the left side already.
Ooh, and we're gonna get some bomb diver down. Nicely done. Okay. That tells me that he did left side swamp. Mitts are another potentially required item, depending on where desert is and where various items are.
Yeah, the mitts in Crosskeys a lot of times, they're not nearly as useful as in standard modes. Because right now those mitts give us the smith chain, so purple chest plus regular smiths. It gives us the hammer pegs entrance, the ice palace entrance, and the King's Tomb entrance without, because we don't have the mirror yet. But that's pretty much it.
Yep. And, sorry, and did you say Turtle Rock name?
Oh, no, I did not.
Yeah, it's not a ton of stuff. Especially, so in seeds where there's no good connector to the mire area, they are more often required. But we found a connector to the mire area in like the first 5 minutes, so. Zelga getting a 1 cycle Argus. And I missed Khloe's fight because I was busy watching the Argus fight. So.
Yeah, pretty quick boss kills on both sides. And Swamp Palace is a pendant, so there's only one pendant out there in the world, so even more likely we'll have to do Desert Palace and get something like the Pod Big Key.
No, we definitely need a bow. Yeah, we're out of ways of not needing a bow, I guess. Here's the Khloe picking up their shovel. Oh, the Hera Small was in the well too.
Yeah. You normally like to never find that Tower of Hera Small. Never have to worry about doing that tile room. And Zelga going to give us a look at one of those mid-slock locations with the hammer pegs over here.
Pointing out that Hera Big was in Swamp, which Logic might care about, but with Hookshot in hand is mostly just a fetch quest in practice.
And there's the other end of that dark room connector we found earlier in hammer pegs. And there's a pod small on the green pendant turned in. So that is most likely going to be logically required, but probably not fully required. Depends where those other keys are.
I slightly question Zelga's order of operations here. Oh, right, mirror. So the smiths are like right there, if and only if you have a mirror.
Yeah, it's really annoying when the smith is in library or race game house and you don't have the mirror, because it's like you love to just be able to mirror instantly and bring them home, but you just don't have it today.
Here you go, buddy. We saved you into oblivion. And then when we got back from Oblivion, we weren't in the Dark World anymore.
And I think where we're at, items are very valuable because the mirror will give us the entrances that we're going to need to find desert, and a bow would let us full clear pod, or not full clear pod, but do more of pod and full clear eastern.
Yeah, we're a ways away from full clear pod.
Several keys and the big key.
The Smiths are apparently cartographers today. We finally get a map check. We're going to have to find desert.
Yeah, definitely the map there was actually pretty useful because that's the only dungeon that, Zelda hasn't seen Steve Town either, but if you haven't found desert, you want to know if that's a pendant or crystal. It's really just the one item, so you may not need to find it if it was a pendant, but with a crystal, you're going to have to find it. There's the Witch's Hut in the Ice Palace entrance. Be a bit annoying to get back to if we ever find that mushroom.
It's the second seed I've commentated in a row where the Witch's Hut was in there, and it was the Go Boat item yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And the mushroom was buried super late, too. It was awful.
So in this Dark World, Zelda's got pod with one other small key. You can do the Skullwoods entrance in the back, which that looks like where he's going right now.
Khloe totally goofing up Hookshot Cave, but second attempt shows that it's not that hard. Oh, and Eastern is a pendant per palm. So we need all the things. All these.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to need Ice Rod. We're going to need the Cane of Samaria. We're going to need the bow. We are most likely going to need the mirror because I believe that we've seen every other entrance that is not mirror locked unless Bumper Cave Connector takes us somewhere to give us more entrances. And then we're going to need all the big keys like Desert Palace and Pod. Turtle Rock big keys out there, so that's just in Thieves Town.
There's a couple of myths entrances that haven't been opened, but
yes, the Turtle Rock entrance is still out there. I'm not sure because we did Ice Palace and Hammer Pegs already. I guess we have the King's Tomb.
yeah, the Bumper Cave Ledge plus Mirror and the Turtle Rock Bridge are two places connectors can take us that are still interesting.
And we have not seen any, I believe, of the Turtle Rock entrances except Laser Bridge.
Yeah.
So it could be possible that the Turtle Rock could access all of the guaranteed ones that are needed, like Bumper Cave and Turtle Rock, the Turtle Rock entrances.
Well, we haven't seen the top of. Speaking of connectors to places interesting, we haven't seen the top of Light World definitely.
Yeah, that's the main one. That would be like the main prize from. We only have the one connector, Bumper Cave, that neither of these runners have checked.
There's actually only 2 entrances up there that are relevant because we've seen Spiral and we've seen the Fairy Ascent Cave. So.
That's a good point. So really, a connector would only give you one entrance up there because you'd have to get connected up there, which would take up one, and then you would have the other one.
Plus
and you can't jump down to Mimic Cave.
Plus the guaranteed item star off of the tablet, if only we had a book.
Yeah. We could also take a look at what the top of Hookshot Cave item is, but not be able to get that
one. Find out if the mirror is actually required.
Which at this point, really looking like we're going to need to get that mirror at some point, and then it'll just be using it to find Desert Palace.
Khloe getting bullied out of Diver Down.
Yeah, I don't know the visual cue on the Vaporeon sprite. For Link, you use the top pixel, or you can. There's other ones to set up the Bomb Diver Down.
This might be. I've had enough of this nonsense. Let's go do this the old-fashioned way.
Once you do diver down, though,
no.
you have to do it.
Yes, that is. I'm out of bombs. Let me go farm up some bombs.
Yeah, the left side diver down is a commitment. If you don't do it, you have to reset the dungeon. You can't even just nope out and not do it.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he's 1 pixel, or they are 1 pixel too high on those bomb diver downs.
Ugh. Cane of Burna in the purple chest.
Which reminds me, I don't believe either of these runners have checked Spike Cave yet. Maybe that will also remind Zelda of that, and that looks like where he's going.
Zelda making you look smart.
Yeah, sometimes there's some nice little reminders in Crosskeys, but hey, I found Spike Cave 5 minutes into the seed. It's been in Logic for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah.
And Khloe having to take that death there to reset this dungeon to get, because once you gotta undo that. And there's the red cane, so that's a really nice find there for Zelda. Because that gives us access to a lot of Turtle Rock items, some connectors, and a Misery Mire.
Khloe has to go out.
Yeah, out.
And now in. Or no. And now, fuck it. We've had enough of this shit.
And I mean, as long as the Tower of Hera Big Chest doesn't have anything, and maybe they already got that too, but Swamp Palace was a pendant and didn't have anything other than that Tower of Hera Big Key.
Looks like no on Khloe having the Hera Big Chest. Oh, no. We're back. Better than ever.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Zelda's going to go over and finish up Mire. Makes a lot of sense. It's a crystal we know we need to do. You don't. The other option with Turtle Rock backtracking, it's not particularly fun to do, but it may end up probably where you go after this if you don't get bailed out by something like the mirror on Vitreous.
And yes, Swamp does have the mitts. It's in the back diver down room.
Which the mitts could be required. The mitts could be required if the witch is required. I believe that's the only thing we saw. Because we got Cane of Burna and Map of Desert from the Smith Chain. And then the other, we could still have King's Tomb, maybe locking the mirror, perhaps. But mitts not looking to be needed to see.
All right. All right. Khloe doing Swamp Palace the old-fashioned way. Had enough.
And Zelda making his way over through these dark rooms of Misery Mire. Got to see the nice little strategy on that switch where you throw it from the bottom of the room, which lines it up vertically. So as long as you are horizontally lined up, if you line yourself up with the wall and throw that block upwards, it will hit the switch. And able to get through that dark room with a good amount of health left. So should be a pretty nice Vitreous fight with that Tempered Sword plus Cape and half magic.
Yeah, and unfortunately no boots and no dashing back and forth, but still totally fine. But even using the powder to add some more deboosts. Prioritizing magic over health, which is usually correct in this game.
And now the annoying many slashes with that eyeball if you don't have any sort of bow. He is quite tanky.
Yeah. Fortunately, he's also quite dumb. Not the most sophisticated boss pattern that anybody's ever programmed.
No. And just see, we get the crystal, which is nice. Didn't get anything like the mirror or the bow, which would send us with some more clear direction. So we'll see where Zelda elects to go. May want to follow that cane and backtrack through Laser Bridge, but does have a few other options if that's not something he wants to do.
Cane Fire Rod also opens up GT right side.
That's true.
A few more checks. might not be the most. Alright, let's see if Khloe has more luck diving down in the back. Looks like yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Those GT items, they're not going to be in logic with the number of small keys we have. The compass room is locked by all 4, but that doesn't stop it from being anything good. Especially with the bow, because it might be like there's a bow in there, and it's logically locked behind the other bow to logically get a 4th GT small, but definitely worth doing over here still.
Yeah. But first, the very exciting GT tile room. A Crosskeys special.
Yep, you definitely see this room a lot more in the Crosskeys because it's in logic with just the Cane of Samaria. So it's more likely than some of the other chests to have your progression because you don't need any GT small keys to get to it.
I guess Zelga's just having fun, but he's got a cape.
Yeah, you can do the cape grabs. I guess he just wants to use the Cane of Samaria strat here.
Yeah. Only get beat up some. Apparently not cape strats save a cycle on the stupid wall masters, so. I thought if you came out of the cape and you hit the very last block, it was fine. Tell me I'm wrong, chat. I'll believe you. But...
All right. We get our mushroom here, which could be something good. We know where the witch's hut is. There's a bow, and the gold sword, so definitely worth coming here.
Yeah.
Because that bow is it's not required for Eastern, but they can even get the crystal out of pot actually because they don't have the big key. So I guess that really only gives us Armos and really nothing else because we don't have the GT big key either. But it's definitely nice to find. Don't get me wrong.
We're gonna need that bow eventually. So
yes.
We're gonna need a bow eventually, and that one's fine.
Yeah, with that being behind the 4 GT smalls, it could be the second bow, but who cares? They both work the same.
We're ready for progressive bows.
And we are going to see Zelda go back through Turtle Rock, so we'll see if, one, maybe we get some items back here, like the mirror that could be good, or the connector could take us somewhere like top of Death Mountain or Desert for a few other entrances.
ZelgaDissan showing the intricate going backwards through the Dark Maze strategies. Hold up. Khloe getting the bad news about the potion drop. Should have gotten Jinxie to run a prediction on how long it would take Zelga to find the boots. I think we're coming up on about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Dazed. Hera is in Aga Tower, and the runners have both been to the top of the castle because Spiral Cave leads there, which makes ZelgaDissan's... And ZelgaDissan has been to the pyramid to get the pyramid item. So his incentive to go back there is not very high.
Yeah, we do know that those boots are required, though, because the Turtle Rock Big Key is in Thieves Town, and the Thieves Town are in the Bonk Rocks behind Link's house. So Zelda will not be able to skip those boots today.
Also, Hera is required.
Yeah.
With a slightly shorter logic chain.
But you could, if you could get to Hera and just not ever open that chest if all the rest of the game was not boots locked, but we know at least some of it is.
Yeah, I guess you could, in principle, go boat your way past the first chest in Terra. You're right, that is a possibility.
But not today, not with that Turtle Rock Big Key.
Alright, Khloe's back to Hera and is too cool for Hera Pot. I don't know why Khloe is too cool for Herifot. Maybe they just don't know this trick.
Yeah, it really depends, because if you're not consistent and you have the big key already, it's like so if you do it first try, it's like 15 seconds save, I believe, with the boots and the hookshot like this. So if you're not going to get it first try, then maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's totally fair. 3 bombs and then 3 bombs. We've made it to the top of Turtle Rock. Pod Big in the front of Turtle Rock, on the Firelock side of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and even a pod small to go along with it. So I think that's a pretty good sign to go back to Palace of Darkness for ZelgaDissan there.
Yeah, so far we've gotten 2 big keys and a reasonably important small key and silver arrows at Turtle Rock.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah, definitely worth coming here, especially for that pod big. And we'll get to see, maybe this connector will give us even more. This connector, I guess it's in logic because they could be Tower of Hera for that third Turtle Rock Small. And we're getting just one entrance out of this. So
No,
maybe
but this is an entrance you can't get any other way.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it also, we might have to do this again later and mirror at Mimic Ledge.
Yeah, there's a non-trivial chance that Mimic Cave is Desert Palace. We're down to, 12 entrances left in this game?
So, interestingly, that might incentivize ZelgaDissan to put off beating Turtle Rock until he has a mirror to get warped there, rather than having to walk.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because of the way that Turtle Rock works. When you beat Turtle Rock, you get spit out at the front, which is not... Desert Palace has the similar front and back, but does not do that, because if you beat Desert, you come out that back entrance.
Yeah, it's wherever the vanilla game warps you to. And because T-Rock is one connected bit and Desert isn't, they work together. Yeah. I believe that the ability to beat Turtle Rock doesn't put the front door of Turtle Rock into logic, unless it's otherwise in logics for T-logic reasons, because you could potentially get warped there and then not actually do the things and save and quit. But it is a convenience measure.
Yeah, same sort of deal with beating Agatu to get to the pyramid. That's not going to ever be your logical entrance access to that area.
And in fact, means that the castle front door has weird logic, because in the case where you can't get through the Uncle drop, if Ganon is at Uncle, the front door is mirror locked.
Yeah. Well, I think it can also actually be Master Sword locked, because you can get Ganon all the way down to phase 3 or phase 4 and then take the connector to the Uncle side.
I would love to watch a seed where that was required.
Yeah, I think it can be, but it is so rare, but it would be legendary.
Well, I mean, in order for it to be actually required, the runners would have to be dumb enough to never check the front of the castle before they beat Aga 1, which...
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, maybe the front of the front of the castle could be like Mimic Cave, and the hammer could be locked behind Act 1. Yes,
you're right. There are contrivances to make this happen, and I love that the Empress Rando devs very carefully thought about this for the very, very rare case that comes up. And yeah, Khloe is going to slowly get through things faster than ZelgaDissan is. The boots are not... They are faster than walking. They're substantially faster than walking, but they're not like instant teleport machines. They feel real good because you get to run fast, but you also stand around a lot.
Yeah, and one other thing about Khloe's where Khloe's at is that Zelda could get into an annoying check once they find the mirror. If they don't get to the boots before, they might have a long check looking for that Turtle Rock Big Key. And we're also seeing that Ice Rod on Cold Stare today. So Ice Rod and Ice Palace, very fitting. Which will, if Zelda had that big key from Thieves Town, would be able to also beat Thieves Town now. I mean, Turtle Rock now.
We're off through desert. No, we're off to go get 2 items out of desert.
Yeah, we have not seen the desert connectors are kind of hard to get to, So we haven't seen this right side yet because we've got Pod, we've got that one, and then we've got Dark Shopping Mall. So this one's kind of the best one to get to, and it's not that great. Connector to Castle Top is Spiral Cave, which is on Death Mountain left, right by that staircase.
Yeah, as if the desire to go back to the castle top wasn't low enough. The fact you have to go through Spiral Cave does not make it any better.
Yeah, it would probably be a pretty late check for Zelda to ever do that before getting the mirror. Because he's still got a decent amount of stuff to do with that Pod Big Key. He can turn in the mushroom like he's doing right now.
Yeah, have to go turn in the mushroom. Get one item, one guaranteed item. For not a lot of time investment, actually. I enjoy that people are so used to fake flippering that he jumped in at the fake flipper spot.
We'll see if this is the last thing the myths could be required for. Maybe logically required. Yep, logically required myths.
And in fact, Zelda quite likes having that fourth pod.
Oh yeah, that's a great time to find a Pod Small, because Pod is his best place to get back to. We know there's a Pod Small on the green pendant turn-in, but Zelda can't get that because Thieves Town is boots locked and he doesn't have boots yet. So I wonder what he's doing up here. He could tech the Bumper Cave connector, could go through Spiral Cave again.
If this is Spiral Cave, he's totally stream sniping us.
Well, I mean, there's only 2 things left, and that's the Spiral Cave, and that's where he's going. So it looks like Zelda's gonna get his boots.
This is a soul read right here.
Yeah, this is gonna work out great for Zelda. Because like once you get these boots, one of the first things he's going to want to do is check those boots entrances, which will give him access to Thieves Town and get the Turtle Rock Big Key.
Yeah, of course I'm kidding about stream sniping. Zelda's an upstanding dude.
Yeah, I think what this really is that Zelda's best option right now is Pod, but the number of Pod Small keys he has, having already opened the middle door, he'd have to do the little 50-50 thing, and he knows that he needs to still find 2 dungeons, so these entrances have a lot of value, and even if he doesn't find one of these dungeons like he did, he could have still found just a stray Pod Small that would make going into Pod a lot better. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
There's a non-trivial number of random chest entrances still out there. I want to say that Hype Cave is still out there, too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I believe you're right.
Yeah.
And because when you're doing races like this, you kind of want to keep track of like, okay, what is an entrance worth to me? And it really depends. So if like Fitchat's saying is 2, and you've got 2 dungeons, Hype Cave and Blindside, that really raises the value of the few entrances that are left in this game.
Yeah, your EV is high, and so yeah.
We have not seen Hera Basement yet.
They've gotten a little bit lucky. Cheese, Butter Sword, not take very long. Pod Small or Rock Small, much less interesting. So does Zelda go straight back in and do the basement, given how terrible a location this is?
I would think Yeah, that's a good point. It's a bad location. If it's any other location, I don't think you do. But I think with this being so bad, yeah, we're seeing him go in there.
And Zug opening it by accident is a thing that happens. People just sort of bump into that door. It's not like you're going to use your key anywhere else. So.
Yeah, when you're setting up that spin speed Harapie, you normally line up with the top wall for most of the setups for that, and you'll end up unlocking the door if you have the key.
Which costs you like a half a second or something. Not even.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah.
So Chad asking about Tower of Hair being 2 items. That is if the keys and maps and stuff are in Tower of Hair, but this is Key Sanity. So Tower of Hair, all the chests are in Tower of Hair are items. So that's an extra 4 items in Tower of Hair.
And of course, the corollary there is that more of the items are crap. Because any random item could turn out to be a compass. And then you're like, oh, I'm sad. But, oh boy. Overrode our Crosskeys thing. Made it very long.
Yeah, and Zelda gonna knock out some of these boots locked entrances because now he can beat the bosses of Pod and Turtle Rock at this point.
Yeah, as mentioned, he might be tempted to defer. King's Tomb, which I don't think we've seen. Nothing.
Oh, actually, no, he doesn't have the Turtle Rock Big Key yet. Sorry, my mistake. I just figured with the boots locking that he had already gotten it.
No, it turns out once you get the boots, you don't magically unlock all of the boots lock things immediately.
Yeah, that's really easy to forget when the item you're getting is on the torch specifically, because then it's like, oh, I already have the boots. Now I have the boots locked item on the torch.
You can't leave a boots bomb next to it.
So Zelda having the 3 keys for pods, and already opening the front door. We'll see. Elect to leave behind one of these items. There's a 5th pod small on the green pendant, so you probably do. You can save scum if you want to check both, but you could also just come back here if you find another pod small if you leave the vanilla big key chest closed.
So ZelgaDissan feels like he needs few enough things that step number 1 is Helmosaur.
Yeah, because maybe if you beat Helmosaur and find the mirror or the Turtle Rock Big Key, you may be incentivized to go beat that and maybe skip the backup pod.
Yeah. And pod's in an accessible location, so coming back isn't that expensive.
And looks like Khloe's going to go over and check some of these Mitts lock locations, maybe to Smith Chain as well.
Yep, and gets to item dash the hammer pegs. Looking cool while they're doing so. There's a good spot to make up some time with the boots. All right, Helmosaur fight. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Who chose 17 as the number? I don't know.
Yeah, so I think the hit points were based off the bomb, which it's 5 bombs, but then I don't know the hit point number, but it's 5 bombs and 17 hits, so figure that out.
Again, damage tables in this game, question mark, question mark. Right.
And yeah,
So-
the Smith's getting a pretty wild world tour today, getting to see all of Palace of Darkness.
Not all of it. Khloe doesn't have the big key and wouldn't want to beat Helma anyway, because if you get a crystal, your Smith goes away.
Yep.
On
And
the
still,
other hand,
though, don't have the lamp yet for this seed, which is kind of strange.
Happens. It's Crosskeys.
Yeah,
This is why you don't wait on the lamp to the dark room. Or to the dark room.
absolutely.
Yes, and I learned recently that the uncle counts as a follower for the very brief period when he gives you the item, and so we'll eat your Smith
So if you go into Uncle or if you talk to Uncle?
if you talk to Uncle.
Okay, because most of the other followers, if you go into Old Man Cave, it will delete Smith, or if you go into the Basement of Thieves Times at all,
I
it
actually
deletes
wasn't
him.
watching close enough to tell you, to be honest. But a runner beat Agatu, kept their Smith, and then Uncle Drop was in the pyramid, and then they didn't have a Smith anymore.
Interesting.
So, facts learned. All right.
We'll get to see what's locked behind all 6 pod smalls and the big, and it's just a Misermeyer small. And the last item in this Dark Maze of Pod will be, see if we see it, it's just a compass.
Other than the crystal pod, mostly a bust.
And I think this is the bomb purchase from Khloe. Maybe we're going to see the inside of the pyramid. I guess we kind of were forgetting that location as a possible location for Desert Palace back. Meanwhile, Zelda has just found himself Thieves Town.
And with the flute in hand, this isn't even that terrible a spot for the bomb shop.
Purple chest was completed. It was the Cane of Burna, which may have reminded Zelda about that Spike Cave, because immediately he took that over to get the Cane of Samaria out of Spike Cave.
Which is right next to Blakespot, and they found it was the 4th entrance in
Yeah. Yeah, it was Zelda found it extremely early. Khloe found it not quite as early, but still pretty early. And that was the Cane of Samaria.
Khloe found it 11 minutes into the game.
And Zelda deciding to just leave Thieves Town after getting the Turtle Rock Big, which makes a lot of sense because really all he needs is the Desert Palace Big, the Turtle Rock Big, and then Desert Palace entrance, which is probably the mirror. So you can understand why he'd like to do that. And he can always just come back in and do the rest of Thieves Town if it's required.
I'm going to check out this Dark Bonk.
And there's the mirror in the pyramid entrance in Chicken Hut. So that is definitely required, given that we've seen, I guess we still haven't seen that bumper cave connector, which may make the mirror not required, but it's extremely likely that that mirror is locking the Desert Palace stack.
Well, it might at least, there's a few of the ways that the bumper cave can at least one of the ways that bumper cave can unlock Desert Palace back. The mirror also can. So,
Yes. So the mirror will definitely get us. The only way we'll need Bumper Cave and the mirror is if Bumper Cave takes us to vanilla Bumper Cave top. But otherwise, yes, the mirror will get you there too. It's just maybe you could also skip it by Bumper Cave taking you to some other one more entrance location.
man.
Really quick kill of the Fire and Ice heads there with the gold sword and using the behind the back strategies. And we also found Hype Cave and the lamp over in the back of Desert Palace.
Locked by the mirror? This is why you don't follow darkroom logic, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess No, the Tower of Hera big key was kind of logically deep in the seed because Skullwoods was beatable pretty early. Tower of Hera was able to get to pretty early, but that big key was all the way behind Swamp Palace, behind the hook shot, the Swamp Small, and the flippers. So, and the hammer. So it wasn't even that was not even early.
Khloe mirroring to check the desert main entrance. It's an empty house. Kind of you can get into it. Those people are starving to death because they're locked in their house. All right, ZelgaDissan has done all the things that were more exciting than the first two checks in He's Down, and he's back.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything worthwhile in here except the green pendant giving that pod small, which will... Oh, also we had another fetch quest small key. I can't remember if it was Skullwoods or what. I think it was Skullwoods. Yeah, there it is.
So Khloe with mirror in hand is now off to check every mirror location in the world, which kind of obnoxious. They're onesies, twosies.
Yeah, these two on the top are probably the best we've got. We've already seen Graveyard Ledge because we got it connected to there. Also, maybe you can do Bumper Cave on the way out of here should they remember that Bumper Cave is here. And also, that big key has to be the Desert Palace big key, so that's the last one we need. I forgot about that one we saw up here. So the mirror has been required the whole time for this Desert Palace big.
Well, since we got...
Oh, never mind, the Ice Palace big key. I forgot. I guess that one wasn't acquired yet either.
Yeah, turns out that we don't actually have all of the big keys.
And speaking of big keys, we can use a big key here. This is the only way to get to that chest, and it's vanilla today. And I can't remember, did ZelgaDissan do the vanilla big key chest here?
Don't remember, sorry.
So I know he did all of the other checks. Checker is saying no.
No, not the big chest, the big key chest.
Oh, okay. So GT big key was in there. Okay, so that may or may not be required.
Yeah, so now we need Desert Palace back. We need Desert Palace big key. Khloe needs bows and canes and things. And Zelga needs a mirror, probably.
Yeah, and Khloe will be getting a bow from this Turtle Rock dip. Chat asking about where GT is. Ganon's Tower is in the, it's outside of the dark, it's outside of the pod area, south of those hammer pegs. I don't know what that house is normally.
Dark Flute 5?
No, it's the house that's not, it's right by the bomb shop. Like you move right one screen from the bomb shop.
Yes, it's marked on, I believe, the house northwest of Lake Hylia, Dark Lake Hylia or something.
Yeah, so it's a fortune teller, yes.
When they were running the hint system, it turns out describing where all the entrances are by not describing what's inside them was a pain in the butt, which is why the entrance hints are all a bit weird.
Oh yeah, it'd be hard, but it also, like, I'm sure a lot of these entrances, like, casual players won't even know what are in all of them.
No, yeah, I mean, describing, like, the fortune teller, like, where are the fortune tellers? I don't know the fortune teller. All right, so Khloe is on top of Death Mountain, finally. Finally, we made it up to Tower of Hera.
We can also check that floating island item, which we have access to via the connector that gets us up there.
Not if we put a dead rock in the path.
Hey, Sick Kid. See if he's got anything for us.
Nope. Thank you for rental of your bottle. There's a book on the floating island.
Oh, geez. You probably want to pick that up at this point. The two book items are looking pretty good in terms of how many other items we got left. Yeah, Chad asking if the mirror is hard required. Almost certainly. The only way it will not be required is if the Desert Palace big key is not mirror locked and Bumper Cave connector takes us to Desert Palace somehow. Which I think at this point, with what we've seen, may actually be impossible now. Because we've seen, it would have had to have kept it to top of Light Death Mountain and had desert up here. which we've now seen the Light Death Mountain entrances. I guess it could still be this one. So yeah, now I think it's hard mirror required.
Very unusual place to mirror from, or to flute from, but we've had enough of up here, let's go somewhere else.
And looks like Zelda's going to head over to Ganon's tower, so he hasn't done the big chest yet, but he's done everything else in the basement, so this might be a climb coming out here from Zelda, which may still be required. We do not have the Desert Palace big key yet. We've got Lumberjack behind Ganon, so there's 5 items in this climb.
Yeah. Yeah, this is either a really bad Wild Goose or required. So Khloe, having spotted the book, immediately goes and gets it, and then immediately runs back around to use it. So.
And did Khloe not backtrack? I guess, yeah, because Khloe wasn't backtracking through Turtle Rock. They had found the Turtle Rock laser entrance, because there's a bow in Turtle Rock, but you got to backtrack to it.
They found the big chest entrance.
Yeah, big chest, sorry.
And then sort of did the middle-y bits of Turtle Rock.
And looks like they're going back into Turtle Rock, which makes a lot of sense, because there's 2 connectors in here, and you haven't found 2 of the mirror-locked guaranteed connectors, being the Mimic Cave one and the Tower Bumper.
He hadn't been to Spike Cave yet. But he can get out this door, but I don't know why
that's a good point.
Bothered. You can just bonk across the rail.
Yeah, the bonk and the bomb jump can be helpful there. And this is a new entrance here. Not this one, but the mirror one.
Turtle Rock as connector is in full force today. And I apologize for this. I actually wrote the code that allows this particular Turtle Rock configuration to exist. My contribution code base for Rando is like 20 lines, but it includes these ones. So, sorry, Khloe.
Yeah, because those Turtle Rock's entrances are, other than Laser Bridge, pretty tough to get to. Those two of them being impossible to get to, and then the other one being on that desert top.
Yeah, this one's actually my fault. So. ZelgaDissan's ongoing GT climb with lots of kit, but not very many hearts. I'm pretty sure that he has a blue potion. Race game left.
And he's got the powder too. Okay, there's that other 5 item location.
5 faster items from climbing Ganon's tower.
For sure.
Compass of ice. A piece. Irrelevant small key. Heart or heart container.
I haven't found anything that makes this climb worth it yet, so it's all going to come down to that lumberjack entrance down at the pyramid after this.
Yeah, beating Aga 2 for 1 whole chest is a little bit miserable, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, and it's interesting that on this route, Khloe elected not to pick up the purple chest. They did walk right by it, and that would give them maybe they would get the same sort of Cane of Burna hint towards going to Spike Cave to get the cane.
Khloe finally finds the 3rd check rock entrance, but having seen the item 2 hours ago, is not interested in going and picking it up.
Yeah, and the Desert Palace Big Key is down to some pretty awful locations. We've got the Ganon's Tower big chest, Ice Palace big chest, Skull Woods big chest. And those are off the top of my head. There might be other one-item locations that are mirror locked, but those are the ones I can think of right now.
I am certainly not the kind of dude that is tracking every single one-item cave in the game. There's not even that many places for one-item caves to be.
And that climb was not required, just getting the green potion from the Lumberjack entrance.
All right. So Khloe,
Oh, and yeah, chat pointing out the Bombos tablet as another option.
Khloe is missing some critical pieces. But they're right there. Like, unfortunately, in some sense, they're not locked by the things they have gotten recently. And
yeah, because actually, both of the bows today are Cane of Samaria locked.
Yes. And so we'll see if Khloe remembers the existence of Spike Cave at any point. Basically.
Yeah, and Zelda is picking up that bomb, which we know is going to give him the mirror, which will probably it's likely that Desert Palace big key is somewhere mirror locked.
Unfortunately, as Khloe is demonstrating, there's a whole bunch of places that are mirror locked that don't have the Desert Palace big key.
And they're not quick to check either.
No. Khloe's been at this for 15 minutes or something.
Because you got to imagine that Zelda's going to do the same sort of play that Khloe's doing, knowing that Blind's Hut is out there. And so is Hype Cave, too, for him, from his perspective. So that's 10 items. The Desert Palace big key is probably in one of those, right? But it's actually not.
And I don't know. I don't think there's an obvious order to check the mirror lock locations at this point. So there's a chance that the ones that Khloe hasn't yet checked are the ones that Zelda checks first. And Tom, being a guy that wants to be up even later, points out that Desert Palace big on pedestal is alive.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's probably like a 20% chance at this point, given what we've seen.
We've seen that many. We're down to 5 locations. But I
mean, we've got those big chests. Those are the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head. And then there's not even that many mirror locked entrances left. So the mirror locked entrances that we haven't seen, I think we haven't seen them all, obviously, because there's still Desert Palace out there somewhere. But we've seen a good number of them.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of one-off locations, Armos is another fetch quest at this point.
Yep.
Zelda remembers that there's an entrance, a connector right here after walking out. That's the fast way to do it, but everybody, you bonk to the wall. Real easy.
And we'll see if Zelda is going to want to check the Mimic Cave entrance while he's over here, because he's never going to be closer to it than now.
In a moral sense. Looks like no. From his perspective, I think the answer is obviously no. Like, that's a long walk for one entrance when he's got plenty of others that are a flute and a mirror away. So.
Yeah, that's true, because he hasn't done a lot of the other mirror lock locations yet. And we'll also probably get to see Khloe do the GT big here. We'll see. I don't know if you have enough keys, I guess. We'll see if they elect to go down there.
I mean, you get one here, so unless they're running out of keys to go upstairs, which with 3 keys and not opening the middle door, I think you're good to go.
Yeah, that's true. Because the middle door is the one that requires 1 more key, and with 4 keys, you're definitely good to go. So this big key could be pretty big if it's the Desert Palace big key.
Zelga is busy covering up all the mirror checks that Khloe has already done, so Khloe's is the screen to be watching right now.
Yeah, we'll see if
running,
this is it.
8 rounds of Swiss at 80-odd games a week. It'll decline as people drop later in the tournament, but we don't need to be having best of 3 right now.
Yeah, we saw the last pod small over there on Khloe's side. I don't believe we've actually seen all of the items in pod. I believe we still have the vanilla big key chest.
I agree.
Neither of the runners opened.
That's often the last one that gets opened.
Yeah, because it's the quickest one to go back to.
Apparently Automod is hating on Zelda terminology, but Zelga with a routing choice to just route in Floating Island before peeking it. Or did he peek it already?
No, I don't believe he's peeked it. This is his first time up here. Oh, no, wait, no, because he did get to Turtle Rock. No, yeah, because he got to Tower of Hera, but Jin just left out of Turtle Rock and then did this. So yeah, he hasn't peeked it yet.
All right, and I have to go open the Turtle Rock front door. When you're down to this sort of stuff, you know it's you're pretty close to 100%ing this thing.
Yeah. And also, so we'll get to see, like you were mentioning earlier, it's nice that Khloe will have the mirror before beating Turtle Rock, so we'll get to check that Mimic Cave entrance for free, which is pretty nice because it's one of the few entrances we haven't seen yet.
Yeesh. All right. So, what order do you start like going back and opening big chests?
I think right at this point, I think you would do Ice Palace because I don't think anyone is going like if I was running the seed, I would not think my opponent had gotten the Ice Palace big key before going in, given that was mirror locked. So I think that would give me the best chance to like not have skipped something. And also, if you're Zelda, you're right by Ice Palace. But I don't know if he's still got some more checks to do before that, because we've still got Blind Side over on Race Game left. That's 5 items that he knows are out there.
This is a trip to the front, I think. This is Mimic Cave.
And there it is. There's Desert Palace back.
Okay, so that's half the puzzle. Is it Mimic?
So that's going to be annoying because both these runners are going to have to come back here going through the front of Turtle Rock at some point once they finally find that big chest.
Big key. So Khloe got the mirror before beating Prenix, which saves them this trip.
Yeah, and actually they can go back into the... I guess they're not going to do it, but they could go back into the front to get those 3 items. It's kind of interesting that they're electing to not do that.
I'm astonished that they're not doing that.
They'll miss out on the silver arrows, but oh no, they have the pot big key in there too. So yeah, it's really that will be quite costly for them.
Yeah, that was big oops, because you never there's never going to be a more convenient time. I mean, you're going to have to go through there again, but
yeah,
you might as well do it now.
Yeah, because it'll be going through there again to do your last dungeon versus they're going to have to. If the pod big key wasn't in there, it wouldn't be as big. He's like, yeah, you forget the silvers, whatever, you can recover from that. But that pod big key is 100% required.
Well, and this means that when Khloe gets far enough down the list, they might be tempted into going in there to get those 3 items, and then going and beating Khloe, and then doing it again. And as much fun as back to front Turtle Rock is, you don't want to do it like 3 times.
And I think that, so I don't think there are any entrances left. I think we're going to have to backtrack into a dungeon to get the get the big key. And it could be on pedestal, sure, but you have to backtrack into the Eastern Palace to get that. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty close to a full clear from both of these, having checked every entrance but Ganon's Tower, essentially, because I'm not going to need to check that one today. Yeah, 200 is going to be hard to get to because generally you need to... if you leave enough freestanding items like catfish and stuff, then you just don't get there, even if you did check over 200 locations.
Yeah, it's a shame that the freestanding items don't get picked up, don't count. And like Zelda abandoned a park container like 10 minutes.
And Khloe saved scum the bottom of Hyrule Castle, front of Escape.
But
and Zelda getting the bad news that with the 5-item checks, they're just nothing today. So, gonna have to find that Desert Palace big key somewhere else. All right, so I think this is going back to Palace of Darkness over here on Zelda's side, because that of the dipping back into dungeons, it's probably the nicest one.
No,
he's got Skull Woods too.
Going and checking the back entrance of Skull Woods and presumably reading the pyramid. Not the pyramid, pedestal. I apologize.
The very small pyramid.
I'm running out of words, people. It's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And he remembers that it's bad Skull Woods, so just throws himself in the first available hole. Oh, and there's a fetch quest here too.
Yeah,
it's actually an excellent density star for the
relatively. Yes, a very good density, having one item and one check. Other than that, we got one-offs and a bunch of dungeons.
It's just bad.
Yeah, he came back here earlier. And it's just 10 arrows on the ped, so we're just going to have to go into some dungeon and find that Desert Palace big key. So pick a dungeon between Eastern Palace, Pod, Ice Palace, and I guess Zelda also has GT, because he hasn't done the big chest there.
Yeah.
And Khloe is in Ice Palace, so this is one of those locations looking for Desert Big. Khloe will still have to find the Pod Big, and I guess if you find the Desert Big, then that might push you towards doing the front of Turtle Rock again.
If I think in Chloe's shoes, having found Desert through Turtle Rock, you have to assume that those 3 chests are not important. Like, from a game theory point of view. And just assume you're going to find the Desert Big Palace big key somewhere. And you'll pick up those 3 chests on the way through when you do it. If you still need the Pod Big.
Yeah.
Right. Given that you have to go through there again, you don't want to go through there again twice.
Yep. And that Ice Palace big chest not going to pay off today. So we got Eastern and we got Palace of Darkness vanilla big key check. And Zelda has the Ganon's Tower one, that's where it looks like he's going.
Man, is that really faster than Pod?
Definitely not faster, but I guess he wants to protect himself from someone who got this earlier. Maybe feeling like if you're you can still recover from getting nothing here. Also, I believe I don't know if did he turn in the green pendant for his last Pod Small?
He doesn't need it anyway. He hammer yumped.
No, I know he doesn't need it, but it might be considering, okay, this isn't even in logic yet, so it's less likely to have the item. Because there is a Pod Small in the GT bit.
Yes. Oh, right. So then he must have turned in his pendant because he's got 5 pod smalls already. Remembers to do the maze the fast way. The properly fast way. Alright, here's Khloe doing the turtle.
Yeah, so we might see both these runners picking up the Desert Palace Small at around the same time if it's in that pod entrance. But Khloe would have to beat Helmasaur.
We're off to pod.
Yeah, you definitely do the pod. The pod chest is so much quicker than doing Armos Knights. And it's also Eastern Palace is just south over in that the shop south of the Chicken Hut, so you can just go there quickly afterwards. So we'll probably see Khloe follow Zelga over to Palace of Darkness.
Yep. Is bad news for Khloe is advantages gained from earlier boots and earlier mirror have now been obviated by doing the wrong things.
And there it is. It's the last big key. So Zelda is now in go mode. It just needs to go back through Turtle Rock to get to Desert Palace and then beat Ganon.
Yeah, but doesn't know that. Like, according to our tracker. Apparently our tracker's wrong.
Yeah, he saw it. They saw it actually both at around the same time.
All right. I have too much faith in left-hand tracker. Let's tell you, Tom. It's
So Desert Big.
Pod Big Key Chest, aka the last chest you checked in Pod.
Yeah, and you're never feeling too good when something is there because there's always the chance that for whatever reason your opponent either save scummed the key or just decided to do that one but instead of Pelormo's Hellway, and you never know when your opponent got that. So you're definitely you're happy that your opponent's not done yet, but
or if your opponent got 4 keys and just did the right side 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Like, and doing the right side 3 times is usually wrong, but sometimes isn't. And
yeah. I'm never a fan of seeing something good in the Harmless Hellway or the Vanilla Big Key Chest, because that 50-50 sort of deal can... I mean, the Harmless Hellway is the correct one to do, but that doesn't mean that your opponent had to have done it.
Yeah. Sorry. And Chad is, of course, correct. That depends on whether or not you have the big key. But
yes. There are some times when it makes sense to check that one first. But yeah, the runners did check almost everything in the game. They did not check the Ganon's Tower entrance, but I'm struggling to think of other things they did not check.
Yeah. Required Pyramid Fairy. Or Pyramid Crack entrance, I guess. Their collection rate won't be quite 100% on account of they both save scums and things most of the time, but who we run predictions for?
And in really this race could have... There's a bunch of different decisions you could have made to just in the order of some of these late game checks. It was kind of like you get your mirror and then you have a bunch of locations to go to, and if you pick the right ones, you'll save a lot of time.
Well, and how much time did Khloe lose from just warping out of the front of Turtle Rock?
Yeah, because if you can imagine a world where Khloe gets the small and the big, having all of the Pod's balls, just gets that chest and gets go mode
like
right away.
15 minutes ago. But even
Yeah.
just running through Turtle Rock again might be the time difference in this seat. Never mind the order of checks difference. I think it's not quite. That's not going to be quite true, but it's a substantial fraction of the time difference of Zelga's lead at this point. And I think with those two keys in hand, would have come in here a lot earlier. And of course, chat pointing out the diver down problems earlier weren't very good for Khloe either.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because both of these runners, they did totally different things and got hung up on different items and converged to pretty close. But we're seeing Zelga's going to drop into this gold sword silver's Ganon, so this will be a very quick Ganon fight here.
And of course, zelgadissan checking the back because there's more chests there before the vanilla big key chest, and so as mentioned, doing that chest last. Unfortunate but correct. Man, Zelda's Ganon music is baller.
Yeah, but enjoy it while it lasts, because this fight is almost over. Already to phase 4. I'm just going to have to get 4 silver arrow shots in. And
it turns out when you've checked all the things, Ganon does not take very long.
Yep, getting a nice triple silver arrow shot there. And all Zelda has to do is cross this bridge. So get your GGs in chat for Zelda, finishing this very long seed.
I hadn't realized Khloe didn't do the hammer jump earlier. They came in here and came back, but haven't quit out of the dark maze. GG.
Yeah, I probably didn't want to make the Smith also do a hammer jump because they had the Smith at the same time.
Fine. You good at that shit.
Yeah, those guys they're surprisingly mobile.
He can. That Smith can teleport, man. You take him to Aga 2 and he's all over it.
And it looks like, did Khloe not get that vanilla big key chest? Still looking for, gonna go in here instead?
Oh, jeez. Welcome, zelgadissan. GG's.
Hey, GG's. Thank you very much.
You couldn't have finished the race a while ago. It's past my bedtime.
Yeah, this is getting a bit late for you. My bad. Sorry.
It's not your fault. I volunteered to do this. So, what'd you think? Which thing in that scene would you like to complain about first?
Honestly, I'll start. Honestly, just the boots, because that one entrance, you think you're gonna find the mirror eventually. I don't have to get back to that one entrance I found at 3-minute mark on top of the castle, but yeah, I do. And it had my boots, and I felt awful. But
I think your opponent had the boots for about 35 minutes before you did. So
I'm not surprised at all. Honestly, I thought it would be more.
You guys were both in hunting some previous bottleneck, and they got down to going back through Spiral to check that entrance with the Master Sword to get their boots, but had also done the same thing as you and had gotten there unable to open the Aga Tower entrance. And
yeah, it was the same time you got the hammer out of back of Saha. They had gotten their boots, so you guys both kind of got out of your bottleneck with different items.
Interesting, because I felt like there was no way I was first to that hammer. It was one of those things where I found the mire area one check before my pearl, so I'd kind of written that off as mostly done. I was like, well, I'll get a mirror eventually, I'll go back, but no, I will never get a mirror.
You will never get a mirror. So not only were the boots in Hera, of course, your mirror was kind of sort of in Hera as well, eventually. I'm sad they didn't make you do fluteless bomb from there. Pretty sure it's possible, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have been fun. Yeah, and was that literal last location Moonfall? Or was there some that we missed?
It wasn't. It might have been literal last location. Yeah, it was very close.
It was last location before like Bunny Walk NPC.
Bunny Walks, yeah. It was definitely, yeah, it was last, I think it was actually last location for both players except Bunny Walks, and Khloe actually had done quite a few Bunny Walks.
Yeah, that was... You showed much skill in defeating this seed in 2 hours and 39 minutes, but sorry about that. And were you nervous when you found the Desert Palace Big Key? Like, this is not...
Absolutely. I had 3 locations left in the game. That place, Armos Knights, and the Big Chest of Ice.
Yep.
So, whenever it gets down to that type of situation, everything that you're doing that just doesn't pay off, it just constantly feels worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. So, fortunately for you, Khloe... so, Tech Dice... completed Turtle Rock with the mirror in hand, mirrored, found the back of Desert, and then just left and didn't check the front. Sorry. Welcome, Khloe Prower.
Hi.
Hey, GG's.
So...
GG's. Alright, you definitely know how to roll the seats.
That's Jinxie's fault, and she's on mute, so...
Yeah.
Don't abuse Jinxie too much. Sorry, we were just talking about something that you did, and I want to ask how bad it felt, which is leaving the front of Turtle Rock uncompleted for no apparent reason.
Man, that was terrible. I was going back to it. I wanted to check those entrances first, and I'm like, I know there's still, I think, 1 item left in entrances, and I'm like, it could be there, and then I'm like, oh, flute, and then the moment I fluted, I'm like, wait, this is a terrible idea. And I couldn't think of a way to save it at that point, so I'm just like, whatever, I'm out.
Yeah. And then it took you a while to get back to those 3 entrances, or those 3 chests, which were like a pod big and a pod small, I think.
And the silvers.
Yeah.
And the silvers, yeah.
And the silvers.
Anyway, so yeah, you guys entered pod almost in sync at the end, but Khloe hadn't yet checked a bunch of the chests in there and hadn't beaten Helmasaur with the lack of the pod big. So then, Khloe, the last puzzle piece, the Desert Palace Big Key, is in the pod Big Key chest.
Yeah. Which I bailed out because I forgot that I was distracted by the finish at that point, but yeah.
Yeah, so we gave your opponent a chance to vent about the quality of Jinxie's seed rolling. Was there any particular moment you would like to complain about?
I particularly enjoyed that hammer location. Oh, and the boots was really good too. Both of those were pretty spicy. The boots behind, what was it, like Spiral Cave and into Hera and 2 swords?
Yeah.
And the hammer being behind, Ether, a sword, and, Dark, like, and Mire.
Yeah, so Zelga found the hammer about the same time that you found the boots, and you guys both went off on merry chases with the item that you unbottlenecked yourself with. And so at least you got to run around for like 40 minutes, while Zelga didn't. So feel better about that. Dane, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so one thing I saw, both of you guys did this, is you both saw Spike Cave really early in the seed, and then got the Cane of Burna from Purple Chest and went over to Spike Cave. Was that Cane of Burna just kind of like I should do Spike Cave reminder?
Me, well, go ahead.
You go first.
For me, it was already on my mind. It was only one of the very few things I had left. And I figured that if I just did Purple Chest first, it would put me vaguely in the area. so it's kind of like a little bit of an efficiency thing. But Burno was a nice little slap in the face, like, hey, you can do this a little easier now.
Yeah, for me it was like it's so close to the start. I can do this whenever I feel like, and I just didn't. Had Cape forever. I mean, I think we both had Cape forever.
Yeah, you did. Um. Yeah, that was frustrating to the commentary team that you guys were like, "Oh yeah, it's this location that's been here the whole time," and it wasn't even that hard to get to.
Yeah, that game
Yeah.
felt really bad. Absolutely. It was just one of the many things that I felt like I was last locationing, on top of the pearl and the hammer and the boots and the mirror. It all felt awful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys.
That pearl was a choice spot too, with the where was the powder? It was in a silly spot.
Eastern
you
big
had to get
chest.
you had to get the Eastern big key to get the powder too.
Yeah, there was a lot of consecutive bad locations in this seed.
Yeah, well, then that chain could have continued a while longer, right? Like you guys got to the bat, and all of a sudden you got to do stuff again. That could have been another fetch quest, or
I mean,
another.
yeah.
I mean, the shovel was also required to get the hook shot already.
Yeah. Yeah, that was not.
I mean, this was a fun seed because it's really fun to see what the logic can do in Crosskeys.
Yep.
I can't complain about a seed that took both me and Zelga like 2 hours and 40 minutes to complete.
Yeah, and I think that the final item hunt actually didn't start until there was not all that many locations left, right? It wasn't, you had 100 checks done, and now it's like which of the 210 things left is the go mode item. To me, this sort of endgame is actually much more fair or interesting than extensive ice rod hunt. Right, there was still a little bit of which of the 3 checks left is the thing, but at least it's one of 3 rather than one of 100.
Yeah, I really like trying to figure out the logic on this. I figured out I needed to get to that entrance on Hyrule Castle slightly earlier than I went, but I just kept having other decent things to do where I just kept saying, I'm going to find a mirror. I have to find a mirror. I'll get there eventually and find out what the logic actually is. But it finally never happened.
Yeah. But I mean, even with the mirror getting back to the pyramid isn't that exciting, right? It's still a hike.
Right. Yeah, I mean, C definitely wanted to twist your arm to do pretty much anything. I don't know. I had fun.
I'm glad you both had fun. I failed to look up what the record you guys had is coming into this race. You guys want to tell me?
This was 1-0 matchup.
Okay.
Yeah, we were both 1-0.
Well, congrats on remaining undefeated, ZelgaDissan. Only 6 more weeks and you could be a top seed.
Thanks. Can't wait to see how much longer this can last.
Don't put yourself short. I actually think that I wouldn't expect that seat to be particularly faster than you guys raced it for a lot of players. Right? It's not like you made an hour of bad decisions from our perspective. So.
Yeah, it got to the point where like there are some seeds you can god route, but like this seed had so much like intricacies to it that I don't think you could have really god routed this sort of seed.
Yeah. All right. Are you interviewing and beating Ganon at the same time? Because if so,
it happens. Don't worry about it.
Providing both visual and auditory entertainment. All right, Dane. Just as Khloe beats Ganon, you got one last question?
No, I think we're good. Thanks to these runners for putting on a good show here today.
All right, then I will wait for the GG Triforce to appear. But let me start thanking people. So Jinxie Girl was our restreamer tonight, and Can't talk because there's people sleeping. So it's up to me to thank people. So thanks to our runners today, Khloe Prower and ZelgaDissan. You should follow them; they're good. Thanks to Dane, my co-commentator. Always nice to have someone to talk to. And we haven't worked together before. I think it was a good stream. And thanks, as always, to the people clicking the buttons in the back, who has gone to bed. And Top File, who I didn't ask how to pronounce the name because I didn't think I would have to. I'm sorry. Thanksy, click the off button and come back and watch more Crosskeys in the future.